the Uplift Mix with DJ Lebs, the Activator.
Kwa uwezo wako Bwana Mungu, nashangaa kabisa nikifikiri jinsi ulivyo nyota ngumu, vitu vyote
Thank you so much. Thank you, Patience. We appreciate your support. I had said we will begin at 9:10. I see we are already at 9:09. So I want to ask that we begin with the word of prayer. Welcome everybody. We at the Kenya Christian Professionals Forum, together with our partners who are convening this, the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops, Evangelical Alliance of Kenya, the National Council of Churches, Citizen Go, our partners whom we work closely in the Family Consortium. We do not take it for granted that you've joined us today. So I will ask, I see Father Fred to open for us with a word of prayer. So that we can begin our day. We are Christians. We believe in beginning and starting with the Lord. So, Father, kindly commit us to the Lord and declare our blessings upon this meeting.
Thank you. In the name of the Father, the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Almighty God, this is a unique program that has been organized for the good and well-being of the humanity. We gently ask you to be part of us and lead us all through this program. May our discussions be guided by the Holy Spirit and be helpful to all humanity, that families affected by the pandemic may gain hope through all the outcomes of this meeting. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father,
the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Thanks, Father. We really appreciate you committing us to the Lord. Welcome again, everybody, to this family symposium that, as I said earlier, we are convening together with our partners. I'm happy that I can see already my chair is here, Charles Kanjama. I have the team who have been coordinating this from the Secretariat. different partners. I'm happy to see, I'm just mentioning the names of the people I know. I know we'll not have all the time, but just to know that we acknowledge each one of you. I'm just skimming through, I can see Mwalimu Judith Onweno. We celebrate what you guys do at the high schools in building the next generation of advocates. I see the chairperson of the family committee. So I think with that, before we move into the next session where I invite my chair, allow me to acknowledge the chairperson of the family committee of the Kenya Christian Professionals Forum, Mr. Peter Gashui, to kindly ask him to welcome us, and just we are under his forte. So welcome, Canon Peter, just speak and welcome your people.
Thank you very much, Vincent, and all brothers and sisters on the line. I welcome you this morning. The journey of every Christian is a journey of faith. It is a journey that we undertake with our whole heart. And it's a journey that we do for the protection and uplifting of the humanity. Humanity begins right from the day that we were conceived. And if we are going to protect humanity, we begin by acknowledging the grace and the power of the Lord Jesus Christ in giving us life. Therefore, when we speak of families and protection of families, you cannot do it without recognizing the right to life, and that life begins at conception. So if there's anybody who is a human rights activist, it begins with you and me as Christians, that we are human rights activists because of our salvation. So I welcome you, and I hope that you'll have a good symposium, and that you will continue to be strengthened in their faith, in your faith with Jesus Christ. Amen. Thank you very much, Vincent, and back to you.
Thanks, Peter. We appreciate that. We appreciate the when you are before fathers. We will be well guided, and we are in good hands. I think at this point, as we know, we are convening this with our partners. So I would want to take this opportunity to invite my chair and our chair, the Kenya Christian Professionals Forum, Mr. Charles Kanjama, who is an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, and also very passionate pro-lifer. Yesterday we were at the Catholic Secretariat, and we were discussing pro-lifers. And Charles, this is a good opportunity for me to say some kind words about you. So, because I rarely get this. So he says, one of the staff members said, wow, one of the things we really appreciate about Charles is his very strong pro-life position. And I just want to note, to say, Charles, that that is celebrated and it inspires more people. You can tell us briefly about KCPF, tell us about why we are doing this, why we need to partner with more people to do this, and why such requires everybody to be involved. So over to you, Charles.
Thank you, Vincent, for those kind words and that introduction. Good morning to all the board members of KCPF present. Good morning to the conveners. Canon Gashui, thank you for those welcoming remarks. Of course, thank you, Vincent, for starting us off and for agreeing to moderate today's program. Good morning to all our partners and representatives of our partners who are present, the various organizations in this space of life, of family, and basically human rights, because as Canon Gashui has said, it is for us Christians and Christian professionals to be the foremost advocates and even activists for human rights, because that is really our calling. Good morning also to everyone else who has tuned in. Thank you for joining us in this session, where we are going to be championing and reflecting on the role of the family in the society, the role of the family in the church, the past challenges that the family has faced, and the future expectations for strengthening the family. As you know very well, in the Constitution of Kenya 2010, the family is given an entire article in the Bill of Rights chapter. So in chapter 4 of the Constitution, Article 45 is on the family, and it requires the state to promote and protect the family as the basic and fundamental unit of society. In addition, the Constitution also, in the preamble and in the first part of chapter 4 of the Constitution, refers to the family as one of the four focus areas that is a foundation for the Constitution. It talks about the individual, the family, the community, and the nation. So the family is one of the four pillars on which foundation the Constitution of Kenya has been enacted, and for which purpose the Constitution exists. In the Western philosophical mindset, there is a very strong insistence on individual rights, individual autonomy, and individual freedom. And this Western philosophical insistence on individual rights has done a lot of good, because it has been the basis upon which we've found so much economic and human development. And this insistence on the individual autonomy, of course, has its echoes in the Christian message that each of us is made in the image and likeness of God. But there is a danger that by focusing very aggressively on individual autonomy, we forget that the book of Genesis says that God made them male and female in his own image and likeness. He made them. So it is in our gendered nature, in our you could call it compatibility, in our correlation with one another as men and women, and fundamentally in our familial relationship, that we really mirror and reflect the image and likeness of God. And that is why the family is also a very crucial feature or characteristic of a human society. And that is one area where the genius of traditional African values and communities stands strong. And we must couple that genius of the Western insistence on individual autonomy with the genius of the African insistence on the place of family and community. So individual and family should not be in conflict, they should be in harmony. And that really is what we want to reflect during this Family Week. Kenya Christian Professionals Forum is a network, an organization, an association, and a movement of Christians from different denominations who are professionals from different professional backgrounds, who have come together, who are coming together to engage in witnessing for their faith and values, advocacy for their faith and values, resourcing both the church, the community, and professional bodies on their faith and values, and networking or coming together with other Christian professionals. We seek to do this by developing leaders amongst our midst, persons who are expert in counseling and engaging those we find around us at their point of need. And we find we try to accomplish our goals by focusing on 5 thematic areas, which in our view summarize the core concerns are related to a human existence. First, the right to life, which summarizes the concerns and the drive for individual integrity and well-being. Second, the family, where we are promoting the integrity of the natural family and trying to mobilize against the environmental threats to the family. The family is a basic unit of society, is a basic cell of the church, is the first primordial community. So it is in the family that we human beings get socialized and trained to engage in the church and the state. And therefore, religion and good governance are our third and fourth pillars, and education, which is to raise the next generation of leaders through holistic and values-based formation. Those are our 5 pillars. As KCPF, we are proud to be engaging in this family symposium, to be hosting the family symposium. We are delighted to be joined by a great team of speakers. We have Don Feder from the Ruth Institute, who will be talking about families in crisis, how we navigate marriage relationships through the pandemic period. And then we'll be having Caroline Maingi, who is from Strathmore University, and she's also an expert counseling and training on family values, and she'll be talking about navigating parenting through this pandemic period. We also have a great family consortium. KCPF is a corner, and we bring together various organizations that have similar values as ours, have several programs, all of them promoting family unity, family integrity, family strength. And we'll hear some anecdotes from some of our partners in the family consortium, Citizen Go, the Family Life Department of Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops, also from National Council of Churches of Evangelical Alliance of Kenya. We'll hear something from World Youth Alliance, who engage with the Youth Institute for Family Studies, that is housed at Strathmore University, Family Watch International, which brings together a very deep philosophical and evidence-based approach to dealing with family rights at the international level, and Pearls and Treasures Trust, that involves in counseling of women, girls, and trying to stop people from engaging in the harms of abortion. We'll also have other speakers, Robert Colquhoun, I hope I've pronounced his name correctly, who will be talking about digital families, because the theme of the 2021 International Day of Families, which we are commemorating tomorrow, is on how to navigate and strengthen families through this digital space. And we'll also have a lady from the DCI Child Protection Unit to talk about the traps and dangers of the internet. How safe is your family online? KCPF, since we were founded in 2010, we identified the family as one of the areas where we need to engage in advocacy to protect the family from threats that may occur. We started commemorating the International Day of Families in conjunction with the Ministry of Labor and Social Services. And this collaboration will take place together. It brings together many other parties, including the SUPKEM, that represents the Muslims, Supreme Council of Kenya Muslims, the Hindu Council, and various other partners, because when it is a government event, then you have to make it inclusive and diverse in terms of the organizers and the participants. As KCPF, we, however, felt that for our Christian community, we need to also have a special session, which is focused on our understanding as Christians, our concerns as Christians in the area of family. So I think I've summarized who we are as KCPF, what the family symposium that is starting is all about, and the family week which is something that we started collaborating on 9th of May, the Mother's Day. And the reason why we have a family week is because Mother's Day is just 1 week before the International Day of Families. And we think we need a whole week with Mother's Day at the beginning and International Day of Families at the end to reflect on the importance of the family. Let me say that KCPF is involved in several initiatives that we will be talking about as we proceed regarding protection of the family. Apart from having a family committee that is chaired by Canon Peter Gashui, who's an advocate of the High Court, reacting and responding to threats against the family in court cases, advocacy with the government ministries, engaging Parliament on matters that touch on the family. We have intended and decided to set up a Family and Faith Resources Center, which was launched last year, the setup of the center, and we're in the process of developing it, that will have resources on the family. And resources means intellectual resources as well as people, a database of family experts on counseling, on training, and so on. We also have started the process of development of an annual report on the state of life, family, and faith. And this report is going to use an evidence-based approach to scan the situation of the country in matters of the family. A few days ago, we had a very productive meeting with the Secretary Generals of our major partners, Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops, National Council of Churches of Kenya, and a representative of the Secretary General of Evangelical Alliance of Kenya. And we agreed to do a collaborative job and ensure that every year we launch a State of Family report on the International Day of Families. We also have set up a Christian Counseling and Dispute Resolution Center that, among other things, will engage in family mediation and will again be doing this in collaboration with our partners. Then very importantly, let me say that we have already set up an editorial board and issued a call for papers for our inaugural journal on family, law, and religion, which is meant to be a cross-disciplinary journal for the social studies, law, and any other discipline, cross-disciplinary journal on matters that touch on the family, on religion, and of course on how the law deals with these particular matters. So these are just some of the things that we are doing as Kenya Christian Professionals Forum. We are looking to recruit more members, anyone who is a Christian professional anywhere in Kenya, because we are setting up county chapters, and even in other countries in Africa, because we've launched Africa Christian Professionals Forum, or indeed in any other country, because we have recognized international chapters. You are free to work with us. Because networking is a very key aspect of our agenda. We thank all the organizations that are already in various partnerships with KCPF. Together we'll be strong. Together we'll protect and defend the family. Thank you, Vincent, and back to you.
Thanks, Charles. We appreciate that. I think when you're speaking, you know, it's very encouraging to see the progress. If you remember the first time when the idea of the family symposium, this is the third time we're doing it, and to see the growth and the progress and also the participation of our partners, we are very encouraged. At this moment, I want to just request if we could have Don be on standby. Don, yes, I see Don is there. It's 2 a.m. in the US. You can see the kind of commitment, Don. So we're going to have a panel discussion, and this will be, the focus of this will be on families in crisis, navigating family relationship through the post-COVID-19, of course, scenario. And since the introductions have been done, I'll just do a summative introduction. So the first person will be Don Feder, who will talk about navigating marriage relationship through post-COVID pandemic. And then we will also have Caroline Maingi from Strathmore University, who will talk about navigating parenting through the post-COVID pandemic. Now, this is how we will structure this, Dawn. So, and together with Caroline, I will give each one of you 5 minutes to make your 7 minutes to make your submissions. And then we can go to the panel discussions where we'll ask questions. We will also give opportunities because this is our day, to those present to ask questions. I will say, since we are in the place of technology, kindly post your questions to save on time. I will be reading them. And then we will get to grow together. So, Don, I know it is part of the ritual to introduce those who are speaking, but just in summary, Don Feder was a Boston Herald editorial writer and syndicated columnist all the way from June 1983 to the June 2002, 19 years, doing a weekly column. New England, that is the largest newspaper. On February 28th, 2002, his paper was published in his 2000th column. He is a writer. He's appeared in US Today, Washington Times, the Weekly Standard, National Review, American Enterprise, Front Page, Human Events, American Thinker. Fed has traveled extensively in Europe, Caribbean, Latin America, and Africa, and also in Asia. He is the recipient of the International Communications Award from the Republic of China on Taiwan. Since he left Boston in 2002, he has served as a communications consultant and writer and a conference organizer in pro-family and pro-life organizations. He's also worked with the World Congress of Families from 2006 to 2018 as the first communications director and later the coalition director for coordinating regional conferences. He was the editor of the World Congress of Families News, the organization's memos. He spoke in different World Congress of Families in Geneva, in Mexico, Warsaw, Amsterdam, Madrid. He has a rich CV. He is a married man and he has 4 children. He's a grandfather. He's been to Kenya. He's for me, I call him a friend. I think that is the highest level of connection that I have with Don Feder. So Don, take it up.
All right, Vincent, thank you very much for that introduction. I just want to be sure that I understand the parameters of the discussion. I may have misunderstood Patience. I thought she said that I was to speak for 20 minutes to a half hour. I'd rather speak for 5 minutes, believe me. In fact, it would be even better if I could speak.
Sorry for that. Okay.
Okay. No, that's fine. My challenge is going to be to condense my remarks, which are about 20 minutes, into 5 minutes.
I have added you, Don. Sorry for that miscommunication from my end. Please do 12 minutes. If it's okay, then we will have to allow more time for interaction, if that's okay with you.
Okay, no, that's fine. Actually, let me just speak for a few minutes and then we can take it from there. First, let me say that I'm honored and delighted to once again address the Kenya Christian Professionals Forum. I think this may be the 5th or 6th speech that I've given to KCPF over the years. I'm going to be talking briefly, ladies and gentlemen, about the importance of marriage. I can't think of a more important topic. Marriage concerns everything that we as family advocates care about deeply. Having children, the protection of innocent human life, child rearing, and social stability. Civilizations will rise or fall based on whether marriage as an institution is renewed or continues on its current course of decline. Marriage is as old as humanity itself. You might say that society began when men and women started committing to each other in marriage. Vincent quoted this verse earlier from the King James Bible. Male and female created he them and blessed them and called their name Adam in the day when they were created. Also, therefore shall a man leave his father and mother and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. Perhaps we take marriage for granted because it was once such a natural part of life that it required no justification. You didn't need to explain to people why they should marry any more than you had to explain to them why they should breathe or eat. But now, given the state of the institution worldwide, we need to offer a rationale for marriage, especially to the young. So very quickly, 5 reasons to marry. Married couples are healthier, better off financially, happier, and less at risk than their single counterparts. In the United States, married couples have double the net worth of those who never marry. Married couples have a lower risk of disease, from diabetes and cardiovascular disease to respiratory problems. Husband and wives are 10 to 15% less likely to die prematurely. Remaining single has been called one of the greatest health risks people can voluntarily assume. To put it simply, when you're married, there's someone else looking out for you. Children need a mother and a father in the home. They need male and female role models. Children who are living with their married biological parents are happier, better adjusted, better students, and less likely to fall prey to the pathologies that afflict far too many young people these days: drugs, alcohol, crime, and premarital sex. Society needs children. Worldwide, the fertility rate, the number of children the average woman will have in her lifetime, has been cut almost in half since 1950. Overpopulation is a myth. Sometime in this century, worldwide population will stop growing and will begin declining. More marriage equals more children. Men and women need each other. Again, to go back to Genesis, God says, "It is not good that man should be alone. I will make a helpmeet for him." What is true in the beginning is true today. There is no substitute for the companionship provided by a life partner. Most of us have an innate need to connect to another human being. Society needs to solve the problem of destructive male instincts. Men and women are different. Men need women to tame the destructive aspects of the male nature. Within marriage, women force men to grow up. Women need men for protection and security. If all of this is true, then why is marriage everywhere declining? Pope Francis warned, and I quote, "Marriage and the family are in crisis. The revolution in manners and morals has often flown the flag of freedom, but in fact, it has brought spiritual devastation to countless human beings." In the United States in 1970, 70% of all adults were married. By the year 2018, in the space of less than 50 years, the figure had fallen to 50%. again, I'm trying to summarize a speech that I thought would be much like her. So bear with me, please. There are powerful forces at work against marriage. What I like to call commitment phobia among the young. Marriage takes work, especially in the culture in which we live. Far too many young people gravitate toward the type of relationship that requires the least amount of effort. 2, acceptance of cohabitation, of couples living together. Among 18 to 29-year-olds, we're told that 78% think cohabitation is all right, even if the partners don't intend to marry later on. Cohabitation is stiff competition for marriage. Three, the absence of fathers in the home. In the United States, and again, I speak of the United States because all of my statistics are from the United States and our experience, but I'm sure your experience in Kenya is very similar. In the United States, 35% of children grow up in homes without fathers. In place of fathers, there are a succession of mothers' boyfriends. The childhood home is a school for learning what married life is all about. Without it, children grow up never knowing how married couples are supposed to relate to each other. It also makes them less likely to commit to marriage later in life. An anti-child culture. Culture has a profound impact on our lives. Movies, music, and television, and to an extent the news media, tell us what to think, and in many cases, how to think. To say the culture is anti-marriage is like saying Planned Parenthood is anti-pregnancy. When I was growing up, and this goes back a long time, there were television shows like Father Knows Best and The Donna Reed Show. Father, mother, and children was the norm. Today on television, in the movies, in the entertainment media generally, it's the exception. Hollywood tries to avoid depicting characters smoking, drinking, and engaging in other risky behavior. Sex outside marriage does not fall in this category. The decline of faith. Religion is the strongest force for marriage. Again, return to Genesis. Therefore shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall cling unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. The Bible tells us marriage is part of God's eternal plan. Faith sanctifies the bonds of matrimony. But like the institution of marriage itself, religion is declining. According to opinion surveys in the year 2009, 17% of Americans describe themselves as atheist, agnostic, or nothing in particular. Now the figure is 26%. Where church attendance is weakest, marriage plays the smallest role in society. Not surprisingly, Europe is the continent with the lowest church attendance, the lowest rate of marriage, and the lowest birth rate. And I'm going to stop there.
Thanks, Don. So you still have more 5 minutes. I don't know why you haven't. I had added you. Is that still okay, or?
In that case, let me continue.
Okay.
If I have the time, I might as well take it. No, it's hard for me to keep track of how long I've been speaking.
It's okay. I will allow you.
In respect to your other speakers, I didn't want to take up more time than I was allotted.
5 minutes more, sir.
Okay. the other factors working against marriage, the sexual revolution. The sexual revolution is all about desire, however fleeting. Desire that's detached from loyalty or commitment. It tells us that sex is an absolute right. Marriage, on the other hand, is based on exclusivity, on the expectation that sex will be confined to marriage. The sexual revolution tells us that this is old-fashioned and unrealistic. The epitome of a sexual revolution is cultural Marxism. Almost a century ago, Georg Lukács, a Hungarian intellectual, and one of the fathers of cultural Marxism, wrote that traditional culture must be destroyed for the workers' paradise to emerge. Lukács observed, quote, "I saw the revolutionary destruction of society as the one and only solution to the cultural contradictions of the epoch. Such a worldwide overturning of values cannot take place without the annihilation of the old values and the creation of the new ones by revolutionaries." Close quote. By the old values, Lukács meant faith and family founded on marriage. Antonio Gramsci, an Italian contemporary of Lukács, said much the same thing. According to classic Marxist theory, the Russian Revolution should have been the catalyst for revolution worldwide. Instead, until the Second World War, Bolshevism stopped at Russia's borders. Writing in the 1920s, Gramsci concluded that family and church gave workers what Marxists call a false class consciousness, which meant that even though they were part of the proletariat, they were behaving like bourgeois. So the only way for communism to succeed was to eliminate religion and the family. Thus, the decline of marriage and decline of the family is a milestone on the road to revolution, to radically remaking society. Without marriage, ladies and gentlemen, we will enter a brave new world where individuals live largely by and for themselves, and social arrangements are transitory and utilitarian. Procreation, childbearing, will be increasingly rare. To counter this, we need to return to our roots, especially the Bible, a handbook for family living. Once upon a time, even the United Nations understood the primacy of marriage in the family. Article 16 of the 1948 United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights acknowledged that the family, based on marriage between a man and a woman, is the natural and fundamental group unit of society, and as such is entitled to protection by society and the state. We need to keep reminding the United Nations and world government what this vision was at the beginning of the World Organization. In conclusion, to say the family based on marriage is the fundamental group unit of society means that it is the foundation. Demolish the foundation and the entire structure collapses. Marriage is the glue that holds society together. And that's why marriage matters. And the fight for marriage is the fight for our future, the fight for civilization itself. I hope I haven't gone over too much. Thank you.
Wow, wow, wow. If you can do some digital claps for Don Feder, as in, I have just captured some of the key highlights. Marriage is the glue that holds society. We must fight for it. The impact of fatherlessness in society is talked about, the importance of men and women needing each other. Overpopulation is a myth. I'm an economist. One of the things we used to hear is the Malthusian theory. And I would love to hear more, possibly during the interactive questions. Keep the questions coming. I already see people posting questions online. That is very encouraging. I want to invite the other speaker, and that is Madam Caroline Maingi from Strathmore. Madam Caroline is doctoral fellow at Strathmore. She teaches philosophy and ethics. She is also pursuing doctoral studies in IR at USIU, holds a master's in applied philosophy and ethics from Strathmore. She's passionate about understanding the ontological foundations on societal issues, and major interest on how politics shapes society and impacts on family and children. She is interested in philosophy and languages while working at, she developed an interest in philosophy and languages while working with the World Youth Alliance. That's why we need such organizations in mentoring and shaping the kind of people Caroline has turned to be. She worked with the World Youth Alliance Africa. She was a recipient of the World Youth Alliance Kathleen Humkwap Award, which recognizes distinguished service in defense of the dignity of the human person among the World Youth Alliance members. She's worked with on matters of policy in Kenya and the UN, continues to assist the World Youth Alliance Africa as a board member. She is well-traveled, fluent in English and in Swahili, has basic knowledge in French and Spanish. She engages in book clubs, facilitates family enrichment courses and plans, and coordinates events. So I would want to say that Caroline can also take this. You can take the same time, Caroline, 12 minutes, so that we can have a plenary where we can engage you, Don Feder, together with Caroline as we speak, and we share this day together. So over to you, Caroline. Karibu sana.
Thank you, Vincent. Good morning, everyone. This cold morning in Nairobi. Don Feder, it's humbling to speak after you. I know I have met you in those conferences that were mentioned during your introduction, and I was much younger, in the early 2000s. We attended many conferences on the family. Thank you, everyone. I'm also going to condense what I have to share in the 12 minutes. I had also been told I have 20 minutes, but this is doable. I just have 5 slides, which maybe would go a long way to just bring home what I am going to share with you. I begin this with let me just put this to be full screen. Where are we? There. Current. Okay. So when I was asked to share my views on navigating parenting through and post-pandemic, I thought of a theme that would help me think through what I was going to share with you. And it's ordinariness in these very extraordinary times. So I was thinking, parents are expecting big miracles, mountains moving, the moon coming down. But I thought we have the basics. We have the basics we have been doing. We just need to do them more, better, more aggressively, and or change some things and stop others as parents in these extraordinary times. As what's his name, James Dobson rightfully said, parenting is not for cowards. So if we are going to parent, I am a parent of teenagers, I cannot be a coward. I need to know as a parent, how am I going to navigate through this? And I begin with a quote that Pope Francis shared with us last year. He was referring to Matthew chapter 8, verse 24 to 34. And it's about the storm and the disciples and with Jesus, and Jesus being asleep and telling them, do not be afraid. But what caught me thinking was his comment here. He said, the tempest, he said, lays bare all our prepackaged ideas and forgetfulness of what nourishes our people's souls. COVID-19 was a moment of conversion in which nation after nation suddenly grasped what was essential. We suddenly grasped what was essential: the fragility of our lives, solidarity, and self-sacrificing. This, as even is in the preamble in my introduction, it's also my conclusion. To grasp the fragility of our lives, to remember that we need not to be individualistic, but to work together with others for a common good, and to have a self-sacrificing spirit. When the president read to us about what steps we were going to do when we knew there was a pandemic, the world stopped. 13th March last year. The next days, people were not going to work. Curfew time and all these things came up, and estates were ghost towns, and we just were like, wow, what has just happened? In fact, even walking out seemed like the virus is in the air, and therefore we have to just stay indoors. So people were shocked. There was fear, there was sadness, and all these things we know. But what has affected parents even more is what I'm calling the pandemic fatigue and decision exhaustion. We have to constantly keep making decisions. In fact, I say parenting at the moment is daily, daily. There is no script that you will say, this is it, we are going to live by this, and that's it. No, it's daily. A few good things came out of there. We suddenly started appreciating our health, eating a bit more nutritiously. I know some people had issues with food, but majorly people realized we need to eat well, which supported the fact that you don't want to get sick to go to anybody's hospital. And as a parent, you don't want your child to go to anybody's hospital. There was the family bonding, rediscovering each other in the family. Who is my son again? Who is my daughter? Who is my husband? Oh, we are together. We need to eat this meal together. That happened. While on the reverse, there was a bit of, we have statistics that show violence, that show abuse, okay? A downside to this beautiful positive. We discovered rejuvenation in our environment because of less traveling and, just the care. There were statistics showing how now we have some more fish and birds and, all these. Parents and suddenly discovered they could save a bit more, or how could they plan more in these unprecedented, extraordinary times. So we realized very quickly that it's not for cowards. We have to have courage to be able to navigate through this period of the pandemic. 1 year down the line, I tell parents, it's the new normal. We kept saying the new normal is now normal. We need to accept that life will never be the same again. The other day I was in an Uber, and the Uber driver was like, in Kenya, Don Feda and anyone joining us from any other part of the world that may not understand Kiswahili, hii maisha haitakuwa sawa tena. And I told him, yes, life will never be the same again. I am in your Uber because I must. But otherwise, as you know, we are being encouraged to stay at home. So we have, as parents, we have to accept this new normal. Accepting is a process. With children at home, suddenly needed to plug in to continue with studies. You need the gadgets. You need the Wi-Fi. You need space. And I know in most developing states in our country, Kenya, m- a majority of families have just limited space. Most houses are what we call 3-bedroom houses. One room for the boys, one room for the girls, and one room for the parents, and the living area. And I know there are people who have more space than others, but that was an issue. Where are children going to study from? So we needed to adjust after accepting that, whoa, things have changed. I can't even go to work. I need to work in this corner, and my son is studying in this corner, and the younger one is screaming away. How do we adjust? Okay. And because of time, probably I won't go into many details. There's a lot of information out there, but one is just trying to demarcate the times for work, the times for study, the times for family. If you didn't have a desk, you needed a desk. If you uh, didn't have the gadgets, then you need to figure out how is this going to happen. And then we have, people who live in the cities and those who are at the countryside. Lives are different. So even this adjusting is different according to where you live. In the city would be a bit more different from at the countryside. After adjusting, then we need to adapt. Okay, we need to adapt. This is it. How can we make this normal? How can I bring joy to my family as a parent? How can I bring joy to my children? Okay, schools opened the other day, and I remember asking my son, so how is it? He's like, no, I just feel like. So then I think, wow, we are in the pandemic period. He needs to wear his mask. He has moved to a new class. How? All these things. And they have been used to being at home. So how can I help him transition? I remember in the family get together saying, so how can we help so and so transition to school right now? And an older boy is like, yeah, let him be a man, but as a parent, I know I have to go a bit deeper into that and just see how will all children settle back to school. That is one of our challenges, adapting to the new normal. Then we have to be flexible. This situation will change anytime. We don't know when we will be told no going to school, no movement, cessation, you can't travel up country. And we have children at various ages, the teenagers who are bored. Well, actually, all children are bored. They tell you, Mama, I am bored. And I have to say, um, let's figure out what else we can do. So, as parents, I urge you, make a list of as many things as can be done. If you live in the city, the activities could be different from if you live at the countryside, but as many, indoor and outdoor. When we are able to get out, what can we do? When we are able to be indoors, what can we do? The long list will help, and there's a lot of resources online. You can always get that. So there is no period when we say now it is done. All these decisions, the accepting, adjusting, adapting, and being flexible is an ongoing thing because every day is new. Okay. Um, so this is very important. If you will forget everything else, let's just focus on this slide. What is the ordinariness in this extraordinary time? What can we do as parents? Structures and systems in the house. I function very well when I have structures. This is being done at this time, and this will be done at this time, and this will be done at this time. Sometimes I draw it up and put it up. Meal times are this, and those remain constant, with or without me in the home. So you have to train the person helping you, or the older children, that this should be done at this time. Structures help children settle, they know and they expect what is coming. And why do I say ordinary? Because we know these things, parents, but we just need the fortitude to keep doing them over and over again until it becomes a habit. Family norms. What are your family norms and traditions? Do you celebrate birthdays? Do you celebrate feast days? Do you celebrate, I don't know, whatever it is, some success? Do you encourage? Even a failure, how do you turn that into a success? And then checking the family nutrition and meals. How are the children eating and what are they eating? At this moment, it has to be nutritious food, no junk. Junk one day, fine, but it can't be the norm. So if we as parents put this in practice, very ordinary things. If you have teenagers, they need to eat. If you have teenagers, they need to go out and play. The energies need to be used in some sport, in something. We have to facilitate this. Okay, we have to be creative and innovative using our intellect and will. God made us thinking, reasoning people. In this situation that I am in right now, that is so extraordinary, how do I make it better? What should I stop doing? What can I stop doing? Okay, even in the house, being creative with space, being creative with meal preparation, introducing some things and stopping others, involving everyone in the family. If there is a problem of tension and anger, how are we managing this? Do I need a quiet time? Do I need to take a walk? Okay. Looking at these four domains of our life, for us, first as parents, and then this translates to children. How is your mind, body, and spirit? Are you well? I know the whole session of mental wellness is something else totally, which needs a whole day. But from summary here, am I well? Do I need to talk to someone? Do I need to go out and run and re-energize? Do I need to rest, to sleep? And how am I facilitating this to the children? So these four main domains apply to us as parents, but we as parents help to see that the children are settled in the same. How is my home? How is my family? Okay. How is my career and work? Because now we are working remotely, online, or some people are expected to be in the office. How am I balancing this? Probably this will come up in during the discussion. And then we have friends, we have neighbors, we have people who come in and out to care for our children if we have to step out, and or who live with us. How are we navigating this? And I'm hoping that can come up in our discussion. And then finally, the Pope speaks of fraternity as a new frontier. He keeps saying, let's stop being individualistic and let's reach out to the other. That's the nature of the human person. We discover ourselves more by coming out of ourselves and reaching out to the other, calling their name, recognizing them, acknowledging them, our children, our husbands, our brothers, our sisters, our uncles and aunties, having a dialogue, gifting them. Okay, this is the fraternity. We can't be individualistic. We can't be parochial and then have recourse to our Lord. We need to pray. We need to see the hand of God in this. What has been reminded of us with the pandemic as parents? Maybe I need to slow down. I need to hug my children. I need to be there a bit more and to discover that probably we can survive on a lot more less. And how can I turn that to be a positive to my family? Having recourse to our Lord, praying and discerning what He wants of us in these extraordinary times. Thank you very much. Probably then I can welcome questions.
Thanks, Carol. We really appreciate in terms of resources, the issues that you've pointed out and shared. One of the things I have to point out that we really appreciate your sacrifice and your preparation, both Carol and of course, my friend Don Feder. You can already see questions that are on the other side, but we'll also give people opportunities to interact. We gave this session a good time so that we are able to hear from the participants. Don, you can see there is a question that is coming, Nokia 2.4, that says, Western societies are celebrating marriages between same sex. Are those churches still Christian? that is some, I think the whole issue about same-sex marriage. I think you could also speak down to the new administration and the policies that and their implications, things that we need to be aware. When we are done with this session, Dawn, we will give you an opportunity to rest because we know it's early on that part of the world. You have made a sacrifice, it's 2 a.m. And as families that care, we have to give you time.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Carol, so please, if you could raise up your hands, use the reactions in terms of by show of hands. Let's see who has a question, and then I will be more than happy to give people an opportunity. So I'm looking across who has a question. I don't seem to be. Is it that people are following, or I'm just going around to see, is there anyone? Fred, do you have a question, Father? You're muted. You're muted, Father. Now you're okay.
No, no, it's not a question really, but just to appreciate the presenters, especially Caroline. She has done it very gently, like a mother, like a parent, and she can really, through her talk, she consoles the crisis that can evade the family. She has said it very nice. Thank you, Caroline.
Okay, thanks, Father. I don't seem to be having any questions. So as you can see during the in the program that we shared, as you can see, we had allocated this time all the way to that we had given ourselves just checking the time all the way to 10:20. So we have 7 minutes for this session. I can see a question from Coach Douglas. With the rising technology, online learning, how can parents balance between positive use of the internet and being influenced negatively by the teenagers? So I think I will leave to, let me start with you, Caro, if you can respond to that in the next 2 to 3 minutes, and then I'll give the rest of the time to Dawn, and then we can conclude. Caro.
Okay, thank you for the question. Thank you for the question. I must say it was and it is a very difficult time for parents at this moment, especially when online education was introduced. That meant even younger children who are not so exposed to the internet and to the use of technology were then introduced. 10-year-olds who were supposed to plug in, kindergarten students, and then when they could be bored, then they go on YouTube, something they had not known. So as much as there were gains by going online, there were also these disadvantages that came with it, and children learning, I don't know, TikTok and all this. And then we have teenagers who, I don't know, they demand to have a phone, and then they demand to have data so that they can be on Instagram, Facebook, and all this. How do we manage this as parents? This question can never be conclusive. It's a continuous discussion. But the first thing as families we need to do is to talk about it with our children. We must sit around a table and make this a topic. So what, how many hours are you going to be on your gadget? How does that fit in with your study timetable? How does that fit in with your homework, with your playtime, and with your doing house chores? Make it clear. Let them, in fact, I always tell my teenagers, give me a schedule. So there's that part, but there's the part of morals. Which site are you going into? What are you going to click? So there are parents.
Have we lost Caroline?
Who have installed that to be able to, pardon?
Oh, sorry, I thought we had lost you. Please proceed.
So there are parents who have had filters. There are those who think it's better to keep teaching their teenagers the morals and the reasons why they shouldn't go to some sites and the reasons why they should use the technology positively. And this discussion must continue. So every time there has to be like a debrief of this whole technology thing and making the teenagers realize that it's not everything. Okay, I would give an example that happened with us recently, well, beginning probably last year, but maybe it's becoming better by day. We introduced what we call get together time, which is like half an hour. In the beginning, the children thought, this is too much time. I need to be doing this. And so in the first 5 minutes, everyone is sort of complaining. By the next 5 minutes, everyone is settled and they're telling you how their day was. By half an hour, they don't even remember half an hour is gone. So it is during these times that you can teach something, you can bring up something, you can, or when you're looking at a movie. So it's a continuous discussion. I encourage everyone to watch The Social Dilemma if it is still on Netflix, because they tell you the other side of the technology and the social media platforms our teenagers are using. I heard it was pulled down, but it was a great film that brought up a lot of things that parents need to know. Thank you, Vincent.
Thanks, Carol. There are questions that Dawn, as you make your final submissions, if you could speak to. There is a question from Anne Kyokov of Citizen Go, and Anne Kyoko talks about polygamy and bigamy seem to be new norm in countries in Africa. Could you speak about it, Don Feder? Obed Musumbi says South Africa has a bill waiting for debate that will make room for polyandry, one wife, many husbands. Any comment on this? Then we also have a comment that is coming from, there's a comment that is coming from Eda Tatu. Indeed, Carol, I think Carol's huge upsurge in pornography addicted, that is a comment saying that there is a huge upsurge in pornography addicted people seeking counseling services during the pandemic. And then Charles Kanjama says, Don, if you could, we would want to hear about your comparative experience from the US on the issue of families and competing philosophies. We have a comment from Margaret saying that it's wonderful, I'm learning a lot, kindly share the notes if possible. I think we will approach Dawn and Carol to share their notes, and then we will share with you people since you registered. A comment as parents, this is a comment from Chimombo. A comment as parents and as grandparents like me, we need to be role models for our children and grandchildren at all times. If we don't want our children to watch YouTube, Netflix, we must be careful not to watch. Even when the children are asleep, we must control watching even Saturday morning cartoons, supposedly for children, but so often containing hidden messages. Parents need to preview very carefully what the children are watching. Thanks for answering the questions very well. That is from Coach Douglas to everyone. So Dawn, if you could respond to those, and then we can also, you can as also part your final submission. So over to you, Dawn.
All right, Vincent, you may have to remind me of some things. I haven't been taking notes, and I apologize. I should have. Let me address briefly the bills in South Africa. I guess polygamy, polyandry seems to be the trend in Africa now, at least some certain parts of Africa. This is dangerous. You know, we are regressing now. We're going back to the world before Christianity, before Judaism, before the Bible, when marital relationships were chaotic, and they were basically based on power. You know, who's powerful, who can subdue other people. We have to fight to maintain What I consider the only type of union that works, and that's a man and a woman committed to each other for life, joined together in the bond, what are called the bonds of matrimony. Nothing else works really. And when there's competition, it weakens what should be the model for society. The model for society, and I think all Western religions agree on this. When I say Western, I mean based on the Bible. I think all biblical religions agree on this, and that is a man and a woman, nothing else. I think everything else has to be opposed. What were the other questions? I'm sorry, as I said, Vincent, I am kind of tired. I haven't been taking notes.
Okay, I will do it one by one. We can do it together so that
please,
is that okay?
Please.
So there is the issue of polygamy and bigamy. That is from Ann Kyoko. So if you comment on this, and because it's on the rise in Africa, and then the issue of polyandry in South Africa. You can start with that, and then I will come back to the others.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure if I answered it adequately, but let me try again. Polygamy, polyandry, bigamy. None of these things work ultimately, and they have to be opposed. I mean, people suddenly, some people, not everyone, maybe a few people, intellectuals, people in government, have decided that these relations should be open, that there's no reason why traditional marriage, a man and a woman, should have a special place in our society. Well, it should. It should, because historically it's what worked. And will continue to work because I think it's based on human nature. I saw on the screen someone wanted me to comment on the gender revolution. Should I do that, Vincent, or would Caroline like to say something? I don't want to monopolize the conversation.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, the gender revolution. There are two genders, there are two sexes. There's man and woman, there's nothing else. And again, go back to Genesis. God didn't create 15 or 20 or 36 genders. He created men and women. I'm less interested in what people want than I am in what is in reality. And that's reality. I think ultimately all of this is about trying to abolish biology. And you can't do that. You know, you can't say, oh, I'm a woman born in a man's body, or I'm a man born in a woman's body. This is nonsense. You were born a man or a woman. Now, there is something called gender dystopia, where people have a hard time dealing with the sex that they were born as. And we have to compassionately try to help these people overcome their problems. But you don't do that. I mean, here in the United States, we have surgeons who are mutilating people, who were changing them, who are changing men to make them appear to be women, and women to make them appear to be men. It doesn't matter what you do to your body surgically or chemically, you will spend the rest of your life as a man or a woman what you were in the beginning. There's no way to escape that. Caroline, would you like to add something to that? Or maybe you have a different perspective.
Thank you, Don Peter. Well, I wasn't thinking about.
I think Caroline.
We
maybe
cannot hear you, Carol.
Sorry, I don't think I was thinking about male and female and creation. But what we need to be very careful about is the fact that the whole what we are called gay, lesbian, the transgender, LGBTQ. Some of the arguments are not scientifically founded. It's just on feelings. And sometimes when I'm teaching my students, I'm like, feelings come and go. You can feel very tired in the morning and feel very energetic in the afternoon. So I can wake up in the morning and say I feel like a girl, and then in the afternoon I can say I feel like a boy. Feelings come and go. So we cannot have an argument pushing for this based on feelings. That would be a very wrong foundation. And then if we have to go back to the male and female, he created them for complementarity, propagation of species, and the many things Don Feder has said about marriage, then it is a contradiction to have uh, man, and woman purporting to be a family, a marriage. But there's also the other teaching of there are people we know in society who are calling themselves these names, and we have to have some compassion towards the person and help them realize the situation they are in and how they can come out and help them. Okay, because then it becomes like a fashion. Everyone is okay. So it's the whole thing of education that can help a lot in this. And coupling that together with a question someone asked in the chat, Vincent, if I may continue on that about Netflix and YouTube and watching. I like the way Catherine has addressed that question. These things are here to stay. What we have to do as parents is to teach our children right and wrong and why. Our children are asking why nowadays. So it cannot be faith alone. It has to be faith with reason because of A, B, C, D, and at their level. The 10-year-olds will understand different from 15-year-olds and young adults, but we need to give them reason as to the no and as to the yes. But Instagram is here, and we don't know what else will come from Silicon Valley. Okay, so just to answer the participant who said they shouldn't watch, and then as parents, we are juggling between work and raising the children. The whole holiday, I was teaching my children how to work and how to cook. And I need to be present. You cannot do this remotely. You need to be in the kitchen with them cutting the onions and telling them now put the onion, now put the carrot, and how much sugar and how much tea leaves if you're making tea. You need the time. So you cannot we cannot do this throughout because we have work and we have other responsibilities. So when a participant is stating that to monitor them all the time, we will burn out. So we need to teach them responsibility that with or without me at home, you cannot put on the TV when it's not time for TV. If time for TV is at 9 or after we have finished everything, let it be with or without me at home. When you're online, with or without me there, all the gadgets I have put, don't click on that site. And why? So to have them be responsible and have the inner strength to be able to do this, to say no, that is the lot of our responsibility as parents towards our children. To love them, to accept them. That's the only way they will listen to us. Very quickly, Vincent, if I may, someone asked a question about work and family. The workplace and capitalism. Employers don't want women who are always on maternity leave and going home because of children. This is an ongoing discussion on work family integration, work family balance, work family conflict. I think each individual organization needs to figure out how to incorporate everyone. Some have all we call, I don't know, playstations and changing rooms and fridges for mothers. But I think every individual organization needs to figure out How will they have this workforce of parents who are raising children during the pandemic period? Okay, and we have to speak. If you're able to write an article to put it out there, if you're able to write an academic paper and publish it on these matters, we have many rich stories in Kenya, in Africa. Okay, thank you,
Okay.
Vincent.
Wow. Because of time, allow me to ask for a pause. Don, there is a question that I think I will not allow you to go because before you answer this issue of comparative experience from the US on the issue of families and competing philosophies. Even if it's a minute, and then we can go to the what we agreed since it's night on the other side. Don, briefly.
Sure. Well, what's happening in the United States today is utter chaos. We have a president who says, follow the science. That's one of his favorite slogans, but he doesn't. He doesn't follow the science. And by the way, I think Caroline is absolutely right. It's not emotion. It's science. You were born a man or a woman, you're going to remain that. There's one message I have for our friends in Africa. Look at what's happening in the United States and what's coming out of it. Don't do it. Don't follow our example. Because in the United States, we are now returning to a pre-Christian civilization. You know, 100 years ago, 200 years ago, longer perhaps, the West sent missionaries to Africa, Christian missionaries. Today, the West could use some Christian missionaries from Africa.
Hello, have we lost Don?
No, I'm still here.
Okay.
Was there something else that you wanted me to address, Vincent?
I think we're good, Don. I want to request that if as the submissions that were made by the participants, if you could be generous by sharing your notes, we will circulate among the emails. We will also provide and share your contacts, Don and Caro, if anyone has any questions they want to follow up on practical steps that we would take towards progressing and also making a difference where we are at in terms of these topics and supporting each other. We need each other. Thanks for the good work that you do at Strathmore and the work that is done by Strathmore. Caro, thanks for the good work that you do at the Ruth Institute. We are the Kenya Christian Professionals Forum. We are very committed towards forging partnerships. We are committed to working together. And as you know, Don, that we have even begun the work at the continental level through the African Christian Professionals Forum, because it takes a village to raise children. It takes a village, a community to defend the things and the values that we so cherish. Don, I think we will be happy to release you as a family because of the time difference. Pass our regards to your family. I want us to transition to the next stage in terms of hearing from each other what we are doing. We want to hear stories from Kenya and beyond what is happening in the pandemic. We will start from the partners who are present here today. Just everybody talking briefly in 3 minutes so that we can make the most of the time. I am going to start with from KCPF briefly, Canon Peter Gashui. If you could share just stories on what's happening from KCPF and partners. And then even as I ask Venerable Charles Chege to be on standby, Connie Kivuti from EAK, and Father Fred from Family Life Coordinator in Garissa Diocese, in that order. So briefly, Canon Peter Karanja, Peter Gashui.
Thanks, Vincent. Vincent, I think I don't know if Patience is still on the line.
Yes, I think she is. Patience?
Yeah,
yes, I am.
To set out the program that we have had, and she has been attending the meetings with the ministry on my behalf. So she would have the first-hand information on the program. Thank you.
Okay, Patience, hold on. I'll come to you then towards the end. Let me go to Venerable Peter Chege from NCCK, what they are doing, just hearing their stories on what is happening around and walk around family during this period, because we need to hear what we are doing. So Venerable Charles Chege.
Thank you. I'm grateful to God that I have this opportunity to be in this symposium and these discussions. At a personal level, I'm happy that the Lord has given us this opportunity to run more and to hear other experiences, particularly from the globe, and giving us the worldview of the other side. I want to say that at NCCK, we are grateful that many years back, over 100 years, the Lord allowed us to work as many churches, which makes us to brand and to be a blessings to each other. When we go for forums, and even when there are elections, we make sure that no particular denomination that has dominated the leadership. And so we have all through enjoyed an integrated leadership, which, because it has term limits, it also allows for the leaders to have turnovers, and we can always have new blood being injected. I would want to say that from where I sit, I work for the Anglican Church of Kenya. I'm currently the pastor at ACK St. James Buruburu. But I want to say how I have always seen this thing for family work. I've been a pastor for the last 21 years, and what I have done, as much as we have a book called Rectionary, and I'm sure the Catholic priests and other Anglicans and Methodists who are in this forum would agree with that we have a book called Rectionary. And this book guides us to get readings daily throughout the year. But so that I may do things and get different results, what I have done over and over again is to make a year to be thematic. And I raise 12 themes in a year, and they are handled monthly. Like, for instance, we have already at St. James had teachings about family, actually for 3 weeks following each other. And that creates room for the members to be able to navigate and to appreciate what the Bible says about marriage. And I think it is up to us to keep doing situational analysis so that we may do the projections of what we want in terms of family. And in so doing, we are able to have the strategies, even as a church. And I think this discussion, when I was asking the leader at NCCK, whom is it open to, I was not possibly given a room to invite other people to attend this. But I want to think that for the Christian, for the KCPF, we must be able to not have this once in a year, but possibly now quarterly. The need to do this many times as possible is the need that we are living in, because things have changed. I think the way we know life now is not the way we knew it just 2 years ago. And of course, people, even the employers, could not allow people to work at home. But this pandemic has pushed us to work at home, and everybody is comfortable. So my contribution is that family remain the first institution that God did and God made and paying proper attention and giving it what it demands, this first institution will make all other institutions that are made by man to function and function properly. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Venerable. God bless you. So I will then move to KCCB. We want to ask Father Frederick Namasaka from the Family Life Coordinator of Garissa, just to share briefly what they are tackling and how they're and work around family during this pandemic. Father Fred.
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity. Yeah, it is my first time to speak on behalf of the KCCB. And as this pandemic rocked into the world, KCCB has been on the forefront, especially to cope up with what are the pandemic could cause on the families. And it has really spearheaded for safety of humanity and families. And in fact, the chair of the committee that is dealing with the pandemic is led by the Archbishop, the Catholic Church. And as Caroline had said, I think it is a time that the KCCB has spearheaded, especially in conjunction with the government, to see that all the rules and regulations that pertains the pandemic are strongly followed, not neglected, because it is by the safety of the families that we'll have a good church, a good society, and a good country. So there are several things that I think the people are encouraged to do wherever they are, because from the negative attitude that the pandemic has caused to the families are called to be all along glad and necessary, to be always, they encourage individuals to be always themselves, to be gentle, not to mess up with their lives, to be always dynamic, to be always forgiving, because something can happen to one individual of the family. And if there is no forgiveness, I think things may not work so well in the families. People are always encouraged to be peaceful. And also to, as Jesus gave his program for the people to live joyfully and happily, always people are called to be happy all the time, especially the beatitudes that Jesus taught about. So in this particular crisis moment, families are called upon to be a source of solace, a source of hope, especially to those who are succumbing to this pandemic. Because when you read the book by John Javier, he says that through their wounds we are healed. So families are encouraged that whatever wounds pandemic has caused to them, I think it should not make them discouraged, but through it to discover the presence of Christ, and through that many families can be healed. So with the KCCB, I think it is still spearheading for the people to observe the rules that the Ministry of Health has put across, and all the time not to assume that the pandemic is going down, but all the time to be alert, to follow simple rules. If it's to wear a mask, it's to wear a mask. If it's to wash hands, social distancing and all that. Although culture will never be the same, but the people are called upon across the societies to observe very simple rules that the KCCB has put across.
Thanks, Father. God bless you, and God bless our partners and our key partners, KCCB. We were with Father Lugonzo this week and talking about how we can work together in generating a family report, status of the family, that just outlining the things that we are doing. I don't know if we have Reverend Connie Kivuti call just to tell us what our partners in the Evangelical Alliance of Kenya are doing, or anyone from the EAK? Reverend Connie? Patience, do we know anyone from EAK who is present?
I think
No, I see Reverend Juguna here. So let me give Reverend Juguna briefly what they are doing to support families within the evangelical circles. We are ecumenical at KCPF. We are very clear, and we are inspired by John 17 verses 21, that all may be one. Reverend Juguna, briefly. Okay, Reverend Juguna, you here? Okay, we will come back to.
Hello. Let me
Reverend Juguna, I was saying that we are ecumenical at KCPF, and we want to hear. We've heard what NCCK are doing. We've heard what KCCB are doing to support families and work during this pandemic. If you could briefly tell us what's happening among the evangelicals to support families, briefly.
Let me say that I don't think I can speak authoritatively. I know there are some things that we are doing that addresses the concern of the family, but the right person to address this would have been our outgoing General Secretary. But I can tell you from the church perspective, our emphasis on the issue of family values, and especially focusing on our youth. And I'm glad that according to our sister Maingi, she says what they are doing at the university level and putting the greater responsibility on parents. Therefore, I can say that from a church perspective, we are taking a lot of time to focus on the youth, to understand the concept of the biblical family model, so that with all that is coming from the West and elsewhere, the minds of our young people are not perverted to where they can consider some of the things that we as a church in Africa has continued to stand against, in the LGBT agendas and other aspects of homosexuality and things that touch on abortion. These are things that we stand very firmly to condemn. But having said that, I would have been able to prepare more and maybe make a more structured contribution, but I only had to respond because I'm in the platform and I'm hearing, and I really appreciate this symposium, and thank you so much for organizing such a dynamic conversation about family, because we need to appreciate that the family is the cradle of society. The family is such an important institution, and we should not be able to sit down and wait for either government registration or anything to distort what God created the family to be and to do. And I'm so glad that the Kenya Christian Professionals Forum has been leading the church, and especially on a different formation, to stand up for what is proper in the biblical perspective. God bless you.
God bless you too, Bishop. We celebrate what God is doing among evangelicals. I can see comments that are coming from Venerable Charles Chege, telling us that what makes a family strong: expression of appreciation, spending time together, commitment to meet family needs, ability to deal with crises, good communication patterns, spirituality. We appreciate all this, even as we work towards supporting strong families. I want at this time to jump to get to hear from our international partners. So we want to hear, let's hear from the Family Watch International, Richard Kaketo. If you know very well that we work closely with Family Watch International to do the survey on families, LGBTQ, abortion, the threats to families, and we do not take that for granted. Richard, briefly in a minute or so, you could tell us what you're doing as the Family Watch International to support families. Richard, looks
If,
like
if Richard is
not
not
ready.
there, we have Tobias Olekina. He can talk about Family Watch
Great.
International.
Thanks, Patience. Tobias, over to you briefly.
Okay, thank you so much.
Tobias, you're muted. Tobias, you're muted. We cannot hear what you're saying. This is the beauty of technology. Patience, can you unmute Tobias? Because he might be speaking and...
We can move to the next as I get him.
Okay, as we work on these technological issues. We have our partner Pearls and Treasures that support support young girls who are in crisis pregnancies. Pearls and Treasures, Akecha Imba, or whom do we have from Pearls and Treasures, Patience?
We have Akech.
Oh, Akech, the one and only. Anyway, today we are in an international forum. Let me not say much. Akech is also a media person, very passionate about life issues. Akech, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. There must have been a bit of a confusion because I had made a, I had communicated with Patience, but anyway, I'm here. I may not have too much to say, but basically what Pearls and Treasures does is we intervene in crisis pregnancy issues. We are passionate about that. We are passionate about saving babies. And we work with a woman who is in crisis through the crisis and help them to separate the baby from the crisis so that they don't choose abortion. We've had very many success stories. And we also, and there's one father who talked about forgiveness. Forgiveness is very paramount in the family setting. And we have women who've had abortions and don't know how to deal with their past. So we have a program called Forgiven and Set Free, where they can just look at what they did in the past and find forgiveness for themselves through Christ, forgive themselves and find forgiveness in Christ. So that's one of our intervention programs. And we found that many women who've had abortions, when they find that forgiveness, they're able to be healthy mothers, healthy wives, and therefore thriving marriage relationships. All these things are linked to the marriage, as we are talking about marriage being the bedrock or the foundation of the society. If some of these things are not tackled, if some of these things are ignored and looked upon as somebody's personal responsibility, then or rather the person sent themselves there, so we can't help them, then we are actually affecting the family. So Pearls and Treasures is in the business of restoration, is in the business of healing the family through the programs that we run, that I've mentioned. And thirdly, we are passionate about young people as well. Don Feder mentioned about sexuality and how sexuality has been misplaced and displaced in the society. And we are passionate about bringing that back into where the boundaries that God intended for it to be. So basically, we are teaching young people to uphold sexual purity, to uphold chastity, if you want to go that direction. And I'm also very passionate about young people in terms of restoring their mindset about marriage, because as we go along in life, like in this generation right now, if you ask many of them if they want to get married, they will tell you, I hate marriage. And it's because of the experiences they've gone through in their families. There's a lot of divorce, there's a lot of toxicity in the family. There is no example, there's no good example in the families. And so of late, I've found myself talking to young people a lot about the importance of marriage, the importance of family, and restoring that sacredness of marriage back into their minds. So as Pearls and Treasures, that's what we are passionate about, the family, and that's what we are contributing towards the family. It's amazing that last year when Corona struck in March, last year we had the highest number of people coming to us in crisis pregnancy situations, more than any other year. And I think the people realize that we actually do need help. We actually, there's help out there. So we are glad to partner with Kenya Christian Professionals Forum. We are glad to partner with every other organization, Citizen Go, and Protecting Life Movement in achieving all these things. Thank you very much.
Wow. Akech, we needed to hear that so that people know that there are places for help and that they can get support. So I don't know if we can get Tobias. Are you already okay, or
no, he has stepped out for a minute to talk to Sharon later here.
Okay. No problem. Then we will move to let me get to our partner Citizen Go. I can see Anne Kyoko is here. Anne is my former staff, so I will not say much. But really powerful and energetic, and I have just seen the pictures online on the new office of Citizen Go. In offices high there. So Anne Kyoko, briefly, in a minute or 1.5, and we will conclude this section. You're muted, Anne.
Thank you so much, my boss, Vincent Kimosop. Hello, Vincent, can you hear me now?
Very well.
All right. Okay, thank you. I'm Anne Kyoko, and I am a campaigner with Citizen Go here in Africa. And what we do at Citizen Go is to use online campaigns or online petitions to defend life, family, and religious freedom. And we have been in Africa since 2017. And since we are focusing ourselves on COVID-19, since this pandemic hit the world, Citizen Go has focused itself to especially fighting for these institutions, family life, and also religious freedom. Because there have been pandemic to fight against. Immediately, the pandemic struck, Citizen Go mobilized because our members are the people that fund us. We mobilize our members to fund masks across the globe. And in Africa, we were able to collaborate with Bishop Alfred Rotich, who we managed to donate some masks to the people of Kericho Diocese. Bishop Rotich is also the vice chairman of the family department of the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops. It has been a pleasure to work with KCCB and also so many other people across Africa to defend life and family. And notably, when this pandemic was very fresh, in Kenya, we had this bill that was planted by Honorable Susan Kehika. We call it the Kehika Abortion Bill, but it was called the Reproductive Health Bill. And we were able to mobilize quickly because they were using this pandemic quickly pass this bill. So we were able to mobilize over 20,000 people to sign a petition, which we delivered to the Parliament of Kenya. And we were able to get the attention of the Parliament, and we were given some time to present memoranda to the Parliament, and that's how we were able to defeat this bill. It is dead right now as we speak, and we are hoping that it won't come back to the Kenyan Parliament. We were also able to mobilize people to fight against a bill in Malawi called the Malawi Abortion Bill. They were using it to, they were using this platform to also quickly plant a bill in Malawi, also in Namibia, and now in the East African Legislative Assembly, there's a fresh bill on abortion, and they are using COVID-19 to say that women need reproductive health rights during this pandemic, which is quite unfortunate because whatever they use or they push as reproductive health rights is about perception for our young girls, sexualization of our young people through comprehensive sexuality education. You all know what comprehensive sexuality education encompasses. And right now we are running actually a petition for the International Day of the Family, asking the United Nations to ban comprehensive sexuality education. You all know they are using the Word Starts With Me curriculum, which is technologically based to push for comprehensive sexuality education. Speaking of the UN, we were able to fight a very family, the Commission of Status on Women, and now we are also fighting at the generation for equality to fight for women equality during COVID-19. But basically what they are pushing, if you get to understand the theme and the content, is abortion as a way of gender equality. They're also pushing for comprehensive sexuality education and gender ideology, basically. So we are using our petition platform to fight all over the globe. We are present in over 50 countries with 12 languages. And we have quite a number of successes. Not all the time we have successes, but at least we are able to mobilize the grassroots to fight for this very important institution of the family. So because I can continue speaking, I just want to stop there. If you want to sign a petition, just go to www.citizengo.org and find relevant petitions for Africa, which affects our countries, and we continue to fight for this very important institution using this very fearless platform of citizens. Thank you.
Wow. Wow. So you can see the power of partnership, the power of working together. If we need to petition Parliament on any issue, Citizen Go will be the one to lead. If we need to get churches working together and supporting us, we will be happy to work with our partners. One thing that we would really want to say out of this, to the pastors who are here, to the men of cloth who are here, on this week, that is the week of the International Day of the Family, is that if we can have on Sunday, this coming Sunday, to be the family week, where the sermon that you're preaching, the prayers that you're making become focused around the family, because this is the International Family Week that we seek to mobilize the church. And why we are doing the symposium is we have appreciated that as Christians, we need to reach and consolidate even before we reach out on the day that is the International Day of the Family, which is celebrated every 15th. And on that day, we do it across faiths. It will be done tomorrow. That's why we do the symposium early. So those are action points that we request the church to consider doing. Richard Kaketo, I have seen you here. Can you say something briefly about the International Family Watch International, what you're doing at the UN level, just in summary, to support families?
Thank you very much for allowing me to join in at this point in time. When COVID-19 struck last year, within 3 weeks of the lockdown, at least in Kenya, there was an international conference that was organized on Zoom by DKT, the largest seller of contraceptives and anti-family services, in which they pushed for P2 and several other materials to be distributed to everyone, including children. Last year, you are aware that in Kenya, we also had parents who had to deal with the removal of NOR plants into the arms of their children who had been invited by a community health worker. What point am I making is that our adversaries have made use of COVID-19 to proliferate the relevance or this monotony of their services. What have we done as Family Watch International? We continue to sensitize faith leaders and political leaders. On average, we ran at least 23 webinars last year just to try and alert our people on what is going on. The truth is, things must happen domestically, in country, regionally, and internationally at the UN. We've made a few strides at the UN, but something dangerous is coming to Africa. The Economic Partnership Agreement between the European Union and the African, Caribbean, and Pacific nations. All the work we've been doing at the UN is going to go to waste if our governments sign up and commit to these agreements with regard to the paragraphs relating to sexual and reproductive health and rights. The European Union has taken a decision to add SRHR as number 1, I think number 2 on its agenda. They are doing it in the treaty body mechanism. They are pushing it in the universal periodic review. Now it is entering the economic partnership agreements. I would like to invite our faith leaders on the call to hold the parliamentarians in their domains to account. If you have inroads into the Ministry of Foreign Affairs on the continent, into the Ministry of Gender and Ministry of Health, let them know that our government should not commit to the EPA with regard to the SRHR. The best that can be done is reservations to some of these dangerous provisions. It is going to last 20 years. So if a government signs in, it would have committed to an economic partnership with the European Union with very many good things, but also very many bad things with regard to protection of life and family. And finally, probably the young man from EYC has spoken. We are building a youth movement. Many of us are growing older and older. Again, I invite the faith leaders on the call. Give us the young people, enroll your youth groups to the Empowered Youth Coalition so that we are able to allow the young people take the baton forward. Thank you very much, Vincent.
Wow, that is very encouraging. I think Richard Kaketo, just on a small action point, we had a chat with the Honorable Shamala, who is a member of the Advisory Council of KCPF, and she has requested, she's ready to support us on getting a petition on this. I think we will rope in Ann Kioko as a Citizen Go, so that we can get this out. We can also reach to the intellectuals, the academia. Richard, if we can do a policy, a briefing, a policy briefing, as just summarizing what are the dangers and what needs to be done. So this can be done this coming week. Kindly patients note that. We are happy here that we have the body of Christ, the church. We have professionals, we have organizations, we have universities, and we have global partners. So if we put our energies together, even Jesus tells us that if you're united, we can be able to overcome this. So Richard, please let this be an action point for this coming week so that we can light the fire. Patients take note of that. And this is the beauty of coming together, really, to act together. I want to ask Father Fred, who dropped down because of network, just to summarize what they're doing at KCCB, and then we can conclude this section as we get into the last part. Father Fred, briefly.
Thank you. In Garissa, we have very weak network, and I thank God for that. From the Article 115 of the Laudato Si, encyclical letter of the Holy Father Francis on care for our common home, when talking about the crisis and effects of modern anthropocentrism, he wrote that when human beings fail to find their true place in this world, they misunderstand themselves, and most probably they end up acting against themselves. And he goes on that not only has God given the earth to man, who must use it with the respect for the original good purpose for which it was given, but man too is a gift, or God's gift to man. Therefore, he must respect the natural and moral structure with which he has been endowed to. And I think sometimes if this is put into consideration very properly, I think the pandemic can be easily overcome. Now, the KCCB, he has mostly considered, especially the issues of gender violence also is very rampant during this time of the pandemic. And it is running prevention and intervention of violence in families. It has so far carried some programs in the dioceses of Nakuru, the dioceses of Ngong, Muranga, Nairobi. And the next step is to carry the same program in the diocese of Kakamega, Malindi, and most probably in Garissa as well. So all this is just a call for a collaboration with the bishops of the dioceses that the program is going on in, so that they can run those programs very well. So this program started last year and it is still going on. And I think through it, I'm sure the families will get healed, because it gives the ideas that can calm all the tensions that are carried along by the pandemic. So what we have to do is just to keep on collaborating and implementing all these measures that are KCB carrying out. Thank you.
God bless you. God bless you, Father Fred. Look forward to coming to Garissa and seeing what is happening with the family.
Yeah, welcome.
Celebrating you. One of the beautiful things that I really thank God that this platform and this work has enabled us to do is to appreciate that we have bigger problems outside there, and that we are one in Christ. If we work together, we will be able to achieve much. So I want to get one of our final partners just to share briefly, and that is Clara Kariuki from the Institute of Family Studies and Ethics in Strathmore, just to share briefly what they're doing as a university and what can we learn from them. Clara, briefly.
Thank you for the opportunity. So the Institute of Family Studies and Ethics in Strathmore, we aim to promote stable families in Kenya, and we do this by social outreach. We do this by our podcast, webinars, and a bioethics series that we all do in collaboration with some of the organizations here. So recently we've had a collaboration between AYLF and us where we did some social outreach. We had a funds drive where we got enough funds to supply families, at least 45 families in Ngando with foodstuffs and just a feeling of community. And then with our podcast, we aim to educate people on the importance of the family unit and the different roles of people within the family, and how these different roles can merge together and be a form of stability for the family, especially during this pandemic. And with our webinars, the bioethics webinar, we've been having in collaboration with Fanusi Study Center, we've been talking about issues to do with abortion, contraceptives, responsible parenthood, and things that would just affect the institution of family and society as a whole. So what we've seen from the pandemic and what we've learned about families from the pandemic is that this has been a time of introspection, reflection, and just rediscovering the value of
life, good health, and just healthy relationships in the family, and seeing the importance of open communications in families, cultivating a safe space where each individual in the family can feel free to talk about whatever they're going through, because there's a main issue we've seen from the podcasts, from the webinars, from all the discussions we've had about family during this time of the pandemic, is mental health and how highly stigmatized a topic it is. So deconstructing mental health within the family and just creating a safe space for everyone to be able to talk about what they're going through is one thing we've learned that we should cultivate. And even after the pandemic, dies down and we move into this new era, we need to be having open conversations and creating a conducive environment for each member of the family to grow. So we've also seen how social media has been shaping majority of our thoughts, and how we need to have moderation in terms of what we are consuming. There's this thing called doom scrolling, where you're constantly scrolling through social media or watching the news, and you're constantly feeding yourself with negative information. And it's something that's really been affecting families in this period. So the moderation of that is something we've been concerned with. So going forward, we're hoping to have further collaborations, just educating people on the importance of family in society and the importance of maintaining steady relationships within the family, just to promote a better society. So thank you.
Thank you very much. We are very keen, Clara, to maintaining and working closely with the academia, because this is where minds are shaped and knowledge is generated. So you can see we want to be very deliberate on partnership. At this point, I want us to take a break for 5 minutes, and if it's possible, if you can put on your what is it? I want to present something. It's a break, and I want us to celebrate the institution of the family. I see we will answer the question, Malimu Judith, on how we can partner with schools. I want to present something, and if you know the answer, please shout it out, and the person who gets it, let us digitally clap for them, because we are a family, and in the family we celebrate one another. I want to ask Patience if you could empower me to screen share. I want to share something, and if we know, please clap for those who you can shout the answer. It's a family time. Patience, empower me to screen share. Am I good?
Yes.
Yes, I am good. Can you see what is on your screen? It's already screen sharing, right? So I am going to, we can digitally clap for the person who gets. I'm going to share photos of people who, when they were young, and the question is, can you tell from the photo if when they were younger? So baby leader number 1, who can tell who is that? Just shout out the name, don't worry, because it's a family time. It is not in any order. Baby leader number 1.
Margaret Thatcher.
Margaret Thatcher, anyone who can attempt?
As Queen of England.
Yes? Yeah, I've had Queen Elizabeth. So baby leader number 1, the answer is, this was Queen Elizabeth II. And it was when she was an 18-year-old princess, and at the time she was training as a military mechanic, and drove and supplied truck for the World War II. So the person, congratulations, we will come to the question of celebrating winners at some point. Let's go to baby leader number 2. Not in good, but at least many people can see. You can see the challenges that family go through.
Barack Obama.
Barack Obama.
Barack Obama. So this was Barack Obama in 1980, a freshman at Occidental College, posing for a photo essay by asking a photographer who was called Lisa Jack. Yeah, so interesting, she had hoped to, she would ask her out, and but this never happened. So to the young men, please don't be discouraged. You can see these things happen. Let's go to baby leader number 3. Wow, I would want to know who's going to get this. Hello, there's silence. I hope I'm not alone. Baby leader number 3. Wow, and there was silence in the room. If you do not know, please feel free. We are in a family symposium. Saying I don't know is also allowed.
Vice President of the US.
What is the name?
Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris. Okay, any second attempt? Looks like this one. This is
Margaret Kenyatta.
Margaret Kenyatta. Somebody's talking about Teresa. Let me give you the name.
Mother Teresa.
The name is Mother Teresa. This was Mother Teresa. Congratulations to the person who got. You can imagine. Baby leader number 4.
Martin Luther King Jr.
Wow, nice one. Congratulations. So I'll just now move faster. This was Martin Luther King Jr. at the age of 7. Let me go to baby leader number 5. Ladies, please. Baby leader number 5.
Clinton.
Hey, you have to say the names in full.
Whatever.
Hillary.
It is Hillary Rodham Clinton. She was 22 at the time, and this was at the Park Ridge, Illinois, in 1969. I wish Don was around to appreciate that we celebrate everybody. Baby leader number 6. Charles Kanjama, you should be knowing this one.
Mahatma Gandhi.
Good, good. This is Mahatma Gandhi, and this is just to tell you what was happening. It was the handsome 19-year-old Mahatma Gandhi. You can imagine how he looked at 19. Baby leader number 7.
Baba.
I just had to put this on. So please, by name, if you want to win, you have to say his name.
Did you say Baba?
Okay. Baby leader number, that was Raila Odinga. It was photo taken in 1979, a few years before 1982. Coup attempt. He had just married his current wife, Ida Odinga, and they had one child called, who is the late Fidel Odinga. Baby leader number 8. Let me see who's going to get this.
Mobutu.
Second attempt. Oh, the silence in the room. So let me watch you. This was Mohammed Yunus. If you know the gentleman who started the financing to support families and economies in Bangladesh. At the age of 1953. Baby leader number, the last one. This one you should all get.
Uhuru Kenyatta.
This is Uhuru Kenyatta. It was with his father, the president then Jomo Kenyatta. So now I want to see who is going to get this, and particularly the ladies. Baby leader number 10. Oh, there is silence in the room. Yeah? Nuaokole? What? Yeah. This is a lady called Corey Ten Boom. She was involved in supporting and helping Jews during the Holocaust. So very highly celebrated lady in Europe. So let me stop there for now. I hope it has given us a break, just to an energizer as we get to the last part and we conclude. So great. So welcome back. You can clap for us, for ourselves, for those who got, please, digital claps. For those who were able to get to know, congratulations. I want to move us to the last part of our program, and last part of our program, that is so that we can keep time and allow people to be with families. As we said, spending time together is one of the key things that is critical for families. And I want us to then go to the second topic, families in crisis, redefining family values in the digital age. I want to invite Robert, who will talk about digital families in a renewed normal under COVID-19. Robert, I will just briefly tell you about who Robert is, if you'd allow me. Robert is the Director of International Campaigns at 40 Days for Life, an internationally coordinated 40 days campaign that aims to end abortion locally through prayer and fasting, community outreach, peaceful all-day vigil in front of abortion business. Robert is based in London, where he leads the first 40 Days for Life campaign in England. The vigils were held outside BPES facility that several campaigns stopped doing the abortions and eventually closed their doors. He's helped the 40 Days of Life mission spread across UK, and is now assist local leaders coordinating same campaigns in different countries in Australia, Croatia, New Zealand, Russia, and South Africa. So, and then they will share briefly, and then I will also invite I will also invite the representative from the Director of Criminal Investigation, who will speak about, that is Evelyn Boyer. For Evelyn, I'm going to do an interview just to ensure that we are moving together. So I will introduce her before the interview. So with that, I want to, if it's okay, my brother, I know time, if you can do 10 minutes, we will be glad. And welcome, Robert.
Thank you so much, Vincent, and it's really great to be with you today. My name is Robert Colquhoun. I'm the Director of International Campaigns for 40 Days for Life, and we are a great campaign. We help Christians end abortion where they live. And I've been to Kenya myself. I want to give a shout out to Tobias and Kyoko, who hosted us about 4 years ago. I came with a former abortionist, Hayward Robinson, to Nairobi. So it's so great to have so many wonderful people on this call. And I'll give you just a brief outline of 40 Days for Life, and I'll say how families have been affected in this COVID-19 time as well in the UK. So 40 Days for Life is a locally organised community initiative encouraging Christians to pray and fast for an end to abortion. And we organise prayer vigils outside of abortion centres all around the world. And I've travelled to many countries helping communities start a prayer vigil publicly to pray to end abortion. So our campaign has 3 components, the first of which is prayer and fasting, the second of which is having a peaceful vigil outside an abortion centre for 12 hours a day, and the third part is doing community outreach, which is taking a positive and upbeat pro-life message to the whole community using any means possible, growing awareness of the humanity of the unborn child to the greater public as well. So I'm in the United Kingdom. We've had legalized abortion here in the UK for 50 years, and we've had over 10 million abortions in that time. And during this COVID-19 time, the government has introduced a bill allowing abortions at home now. So this is a new development. They've rushed it through in the crisis, and we've been responding to having abortion pills at home. But let me tell you a few exciting things about our ministry. We are based, many of our campaigns in the United States. We've seen over 17,000 babies saved from abortion through offering help to women outside abortion centres. Planned Parenthoods are all over the United States, and by offering help at the last minute outside abortion centres, we've seen over 17,000 lives saved. Our ministry is hosted in a former abortion centre in Texas. If you've seen the film Unplanned, I'd really encourage you to go and watch the film Unplanned. I don't know if you can get a copy in Kenya. It's the story of Abby Johnson. She used to run a Planned Parenthood building. She had a conversion, and she now became pro-life as well. So it's the dramatic story of her life. It shows the reality of abortion and helps, in a story, Hollywood-style film, tell the story of abortion in America. And my job for 10 years now has been to help Christians in other countries all around the world to help get a pro-life campaign going in their country as well. And we've seen many abortion centres close in the United Kingdom who have been functioning abortion centres. We've organised a prayer vigil outside the centre, and then they have closed subsequently. We've seen 6 abortion centres close. We've also helped over 1,000 women in 10 years of ministry here. So we're beginning to get banned by the government because our vigils are very successful, and we're seeing some kind of persecution from pro-abortion activists who've tried to stamp down on our campaigns as well. But one of the exciting things I've been working on recently has been working with a former senior abortion executive, a British abortion executive from Maori States, who was pro-abortion and has now become pro-life, and he has an insider knowledge of what the abortion industry is like. And what we'd love to do as a campaign is to break open abortion in Africa, not only to make it aware of the reality of abortion, how it is implemented in African countries through Western donations. We have a wonderful person in the United Kingdom called Uju Okocha, who's written the book Target Africa, and the film Strings Attached as well, who has shown the relationship between Western donors and the funding of abortion in Africa. And if we can break open this topic to show what abortion is, the reality of abortion is like in Africa, we get a good website, a good campaign running to help defund some of the Western donors, but also to educate, empower, equip, inspire Africans to know the reality of abortion where they live, how it funds, how it operates, but also for Western donors to know that actually what they're funding is far removed from the family planning reality in which they think they're funding. The reality is very ugly on the local level of pharmacies handing out pills. It's not medically astute. And also it's illegal in many countries. So you have the British taxpayer funding abortions that are legal in other countries. Not many people know this. And that's why it's such a great campaign, is there's such opportunity. And as an organization, we really want to step up to the next level. Our vigils have been very successful in the United States. Latin America is really on fire for us. We've got several hundred campaigns in Latin America. And we want to empower our local leaders, who are our heroes, to go to the next level. And whether that's starting their own organization, getting going with fundraising, getting going to the next level. Here are the good things that are happening in the United States. We've got a great magazine that's going all across the country. We've had a podcast. If you go to our website, 40daysforlife.com, we've got a great website, over 200 episodes on pro-life issues that you can listen for free on our podcast. We've been doing it for 6-7 years now, and we're reaching more people than we ever have done before. So there's a crazy pro-abortion government in the United States. But on the grassroots level, we are grassroots activists. We find this is the place to be, and this is where we can save babies on the local level. So I want to think, in your local community, whether in Nairobi or wherever you are, there might be one woman who's in a crisis pregnancy, who's alone, who's afraid, who you might be able to reach out to. You might be able to reach and help. and you might be able to impact and save the life of their baby and impact their family for generations to come. Obviously, COVID's had a huge impact on our ministry. We haven't been able to travel. We haven't been able to organise conferences here in the UK, and it has meant that positive effects have been people have had more family time because they've been at home more. We've been on Zoom a lot because we haven't had conferences, so we've connected with people all around the world. And I also run a school in the United Kingdom, and we don't allow sort of children to have like smartphones at the school, but it's very, very young children. And so there's positive and negative impacts of technology. And I think that the positive impacts are you can connect with many great pro-life ministries, family ministries all around the world through this technology. Some of my favorite are Chastity Project with Jason Everett, Human Life Alliance that send free resources around the world, Matt Fradd, Exodus 90 talk about doing a digital detox. So just having a healthy understanding of technology, how it can help your ministry. But also there's the downside of technology as well, addiction, distraction. You know, people who make iPads, the Apple people, they don't give them to their children, and that's for a reason. It can help lead to self-indulgent and self-centeredness as well. So technology can also be an enemy of the family in the sense that it can divide families, be addictive. And I don't use social media at the moment. I've got 4 young children, 7 and under, at home. So we've got a very young family. We're growing fast, and we want to focus on God, doing God's will. And for us, that's helping the pro-life movement. And I just want to encourage everyone in Kenya. You know, we've had amazing results with 40 Days for Life as a campaign, and we're seeing tremendous growth in many different places. So we would love to empower Africans to not only have a full understanding of the issue of abortion. This is pastors, and I know the church is a serious stakeholder in Kenyan society that has serious influence in the country, is the main educator in the country, and also political influence too. We're heavily secularized in the UK. We just don't have that dynamic here anymore, and many people have stopped going to church during this COVID time too. But we want to empower you to know exactly what the abortion issue is, to know the spiritual tools such as prayer and fasting that can help you respond to the crisis, and also be able to reach out to those in need in a pastorally sensitive way for your country, in a dynamic, in a professional way, and to know what's happening in other countries. The technology can help you connect with other countries where different projects are working, and we want to reach as many people as we can. Our campaign rises and falls on the quality of local leaders. So if you are a prospective leader, somebody who feels called to get involved with the pro-life mission, 40 Days for Life is a great place to start. And we want to find leaders who want to go to the next level, who want to sort of realize what more can be done for the pro-life mission in your country. We want to connect with bishops, we want to connect with priests, who can help really, really dynamic campaigns in Kenya. So I want to thank you for inviting me onto this panel. I think it's wonderful what you're doing. I'll keep you posted with this project we're working on to help bring awareness through this former abortionist who has an inside knowledge of the abortion industry in Africa. And we really want to help you save lives in the local community, inspire hearts and minds, and impact eternal souls as well. It's a powerful mission, the pro-life mission. And I know Mary Stopes, Ankioko has done incredible work, closing temporarily Mary Stopes in Africa. She's receiving a bit of persecution there from the abortion executives there. And we want to empower many leaders to help you end abortion where you live. And it might be doing outreach, in some of the poorer areas in the country that can have huge spiritual benefits. It might be getting the churches on board, empowering Christians to say, you know, okay, I can't change the world in one go, but I can change the world one person at a time. I can inspire them with a pro-life message. And this is the way that God has been working in our campaign. We've seen babies saved from abortion. We've seen abortion workers convert and have conversions and become Christians. We've seen abortion centers close. We've seen post-abortive men and women who've had an abortion experience or partner has had powerful healing programs. So there's great healing programs like Rachel's Vineyard and survivors, conquerors, many different post-abortion healing programs, and seeing somebody go through one of those healing programs is an amazing experience in which they can really start anew and experience the forgiveness, reconciliation, love, peace of knowing they're forgiven by God after an abortion experience. And we've seen, political activism taken to a new level, fundraising efforts to a new level as a result of pro-life activities. So that's a brief summary of my work and what we're doing. I want to be to time as very much, but if anyone's got any questions or further, I'd love to follow up with you after this call. So back over to you, Vincent.
Wow. Robert, first of all, I need you to help me now to pronounce your name, particularly the second part that says Colquhoun. I don't know if that is am I 60%, 70% there?
You're mostly there. It's Colquhoun. It's a Scottish clan name. We've actually got a tartan, and yeah, nobody can pronounce it or spell it. So it's a difficult one, but it's a unique surname, and there's Q's and U's. Just pretend you're coughing and elaborate on that, and I'm sure you'll get it right.
Oh, wow. Yeah, but I can see I could be able to, if I was to give a guess and say which part of UK Robert comes from, I would easily say Scotland because of when you see Scottish names, I would not have been very, very, very far from it. Great. What a fantastic job. If you do not need to, you don't need, when people are doing something they have passionate, they believe in, and there is God in them, you don't need 1 hour to understand what's happening. And it is very evident in your tongue, in your heart, in your body. And we can only say that may the Lord bless, keep you, and do you good. We can only pray that may He strengthen you, give you wisdom, insight, and guidance, because we are in this together, and the whole earth belongs to the Lord. And we are very happy to hear of this kind of partnerships. And we will share contacts. I encourage people to put their notes on the side. We're more than happy to share contacts of Robert. Please, I am still careful not to say the second name for reasons that are known to all of us. If you have questions, post them on the chat. I already see Edda Tatu saying that we want contacts of Robert. We will be happy to share that. And if you have questions, please post, and we are in it together. God has people, and He has His resources. I want to invite our second panelist, who is Evelyn Mboya. Evelyn works for the Director of Criminal Investigation, Anti-Human Trafficking and Child Protection Unit. The operations are guided by the rule of law and enshrined in the vision of DCI. The unit's serenity and spacious environment with modernized child-friendly offices equipped are ideal opportunity for children to engage. It recognizes strongly the important link between prevention and response. The DCI has partnered with local and international institutions in formulation and implementing strategies to prevent crimes against children. DCI, in partnership with the British government, established a standalone digital forensic lab unit with a mobile forensic lab, which has enhanced response on online child sexual exploitation. It is also partnered with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, which provides it with cyber line tip lines. It is also connected with Interpol on International Child Sexual Exploitation Database. And the database helps the victims in identifying specialists worldwide to analyze and compare child sexual abuse. Wow, what a nice way to know that we have departments and we have government units and actually do a lot to protect children. So welcome. We will do this one differently because of the request that we got from the department. They prefer question and answer. So I would ask Eve to just introduce herself briefly. Then I can ask a few questions that can guide. Eve, welcome, officer.
All right, thank you, Vincent. I want to thank you for this opportunity. It is rare to have the police speak in a forum like this, especially a forum that is organized by the church. So I'm happy to be part of this conversation today, and I'm looking forward to interact further with you. But I talked to patients, I think yesterday evening and even this morning, that I would prefer if we can have, or you can allow me to have at least 20 minutes. I just share some slides that I have that I believe will be very insightful for the public. And
Permission granted, please. Patients give out. I used to be a Scout officer, so when you would march before the, I had then it says that we invite you to inspect the guard of honor. So now today I want to give you that permission, please. It's a rare opportunity to work with the police.
Yeah.
You have the time, so go ahead. And if you have questions online, Patients, have you empowered her to screen share?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Over to you, officer.
All right. All right, thank you. Now, my names are, I'm Chief Inspector Evelyn Boyer, and because sometimes pronouncing my name is a bit difficult, I rather prefer you call me Eva. So most people like preferring me to, like calling me, that's my preference actually. I like them to call me Eva. So kindly use that simple name Eva so that it is easier for all of us. Because earlier I had Vincent struggling to pronounce the name Evelyn, Evelyn, so make it simple as Eva. Now, as Vincent has introduced the unit, I'll not talk much about the unit because it has already been shared with you. This is a unit under the DCI. But the only thing that I want to share about the unit is the mandates that we work within. It is prudent that all of us should know as families that there is a unit that safeguards children. And it carries out all investigations with regards to children. And we also render advice to all officers. When I talk of officers, I simply refer to individuals in organizations, fellow officers, that is law enforcers in the service, and even parents at home. So you are always free to contact us in case you need any advice. And even when a case has been poorly investigated, kindly you can always reach to us because we are mandated to take over such kind of cases that are poorly investigated. Because of time, I'll not be giving examples because if I do, 20 minutes will elapse before I share all the presentation I have. We again liaise with the Interpol because as we all know that we receive visitors from far and all over the country, all over the world. And when they come, some come with different intentions. And so we have to sometimes screen them in a manner that we should have information about them so that we are able to protect our children. We also liaise with the children department and even non-state actors. Like you can see right now, we have partnered with the KCPF so as to be able to sensitize the public on this new emerging crime that is child online sexual exploitation. Now, when we talk of child online sexual exploitation, what do we mean? We simply mean the offenses that are actually being committed by offenders, and offenders is anybody. It can be a parent, it can be a sibling, it can be anybody. So it's just offenses that are being committed by the use of the ICT or by the use of the internet. So any other time that we abuse the internet in terms of uploading images that might be obscene, especially images depicting the image of a child, that is an offense. And also we are saying that online sexual coercion also is an offense that is being committed online. And as a result, we end up having cyberbullying and cyber harassment, which is wrong. And thank God that we have legislation on that can always safeguard us even when we are being harassed by the public. Then how do we get exposed to this internet? We must connect. Remember, through this technology, the world has become a global village. And out of it, there are some social media platforms that we are using to interact. As you can see in my presentation, I have highlighted so many of them. As you can see, Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitter, all those accounts that we normally use to interact. And our young people or young children, or even us, we are not exception. Even the elderly people, we get addicted and we get so much engaged into the internet. And that is how we end up getting abused. Remember, my topic was traps and dangers of using the internet. So how do we get abused? We get abused through this internet connectivity that is just before us, and that has made the world to become one through technology. Now, how can this online, how is it perpetrated? It is actually perpetrated through a process that we call the grooming process. And how is it happening? It is happening just below our noses, just here. And sometimes it happens without us knowing. How? Because there is, and this one has been so much rampant with the children since last year. We've actually recorded so many cases simply because the children were out of school and they were at home and they were doing online learning. And through this online learning, a good number of our children were actually exposed to abuse. And how does it start? It all starts by the perpetrator doing what? By the perpetrator targeting a child through the social media platforms that our children sometimes engages into, or through the net that we allow them to share their views, to share their names, to share their images. And then the perpetrator gets the information, he gets a target, and through that target, he pursues it and establishes a relationship. Then the relationship develops into another relationship, which becomes more of now a love relationship. And here you find that now our children start getting, disengaged. They don't want anything to do with us. They are all the time glued to their phones. They are very busy in their rooms. Whatever they are doing is not physical activity, but they are just chatting. So that is where now the love relationship stage starts. And once we are in this stage, the perpetrator is comfortable because, or the offender is now comfortable because he knows he is actually winning over this young adult or this young child. And through that friendship, of course, trust is also established. And as trust is established, he even requests, or she even requests, even women, they do these things sometimes. So even, so this woman or this man or this offender requests this young adult to maybe take photos of, nude photos of himself or videos of himself or herself, and shares this video with this perpetrator or this offender. Once this video has been shared, what next? The relationship now starts getting abusive, in the sense that these offenders start placing demands onto this victim, who is either a young adult, a woman, even men or children. So they start placing demands, as in they start now blackmailing them in a manner that if they don't do this, they are going to share this video with the public, or they are going to share these pictures with the public. And that is when now the relationship becomes even sour, but at the process, the child is actually getting abused, or the young adult is actually getting abused in the process. How does this happen? Now, this online child sexual exploitation, it is being manifested in several ways. As you can see, the commonly known child pornography, where somebody engages a child into sexual activities that are unwelcomed. And then he takes video of those image of that activity, and then shares that video, or even possesses that video. It is wrong. By law, you're not allowed to possess any pornographic material of a child, be it a picture, be it a video. Once we get such information, we will actually come for you. So don't ever have or possess pornographic material depicting images of children. Then the second way of online OXE manifestation is actually online grooming of children for sexual processes. Now here, the abuser starts establishing a relationship with a child, and once the relationship is there, the relationship starts from online, it moves to offline, where they finally meet and even interact, even physically, I mean sexually, sorry to say. The other way is sexual extortion of children. This is where now the offender instructs a child, or request a child, or a young adult, or a girlfriend, or whoever, whichever kind of a relationship, considering we are talking of a family setup here, whichever kind of a relationship. So this person or this offender requests a victim to actually send a video of himself or herself, or a picture. Nude, of course, it should be something obscene, not a normal thing. And then once this video or this image has been shared to this offender, the offender now starts blackmailing the victim, demanding either placing sexual demands or money. It depends. It depends with the motives of the perpetrator. And then this child, by the end of the day, will now get sexually abused through sextortion, but because the child or this young adult fear that image being uploaded or being shared in the public through the social media platform because of embarrassment and those kind of stuff. Now, there is this other manifestation, which we call it live online child sexual abuse or live streaming. It is not a very common one, but it is here with us, especially in the coastal area, because we've had several cases of this nature. Now, this is where somebody places a request from another country, and this person is able to remotely access what this child is doing, or this young adult is doing, in a different place or in a different country. And of course, whatever they are doing must be sexual in nature. And then this person who has requested from the other end access what they are doing remotely, and he even places his preferences on how he wants all that activity to be done, how he wants it to be done, and then he views it from the other end. That is an offense. Sexting. Now, sexting is where you find an offender or a perpetrator sending sexually suggestive messages to a person or to even a young adult. And mark you, it is an offense for somebody to send you nude images or pornographic material without your consent. it is an offense. It is actually called indecent assault. So don't allow it to happen. Now there's this very new one called Zoom attack. Now this is where you find a child or a young adult engaging in a class online, and then just a video of some people doing certain stuff pops in. So this has become common, especially for the past 1 year now that the children were learning online. Now, how do we how is this online, or how is the internet engaging us inappropriately? It does so in different ways. As we can see, we have cyberbullying, and this is whereby somebody sends either intimidating or harassing messages to a person for purposes of maybe belittling them or intimidating them, or maybe getting sexual favors from them. It depends with the motive of the perpetrator. Here in Kenya, our law, that is the Computer Misuse and Cybercrime Act, actually captures this offense as cyber harassment. So beware that when somebody is bullying you online, it is wrong and you are protected by the law. You ought to come out and report. Now, there are people we call sexual predators. Who are these? The pedophiles. Pedophiles are people who are actually interested in children, especially either boys or girls, but children. And then there are people whom we call sex traffickers. They are actually perpetrating this through enabling movement or allowing a child to move from one particular place to another for purposes of commercial sex. And they're actually the ones who are behind this. They are the organizers of this crime. So you find a young adult or a child is actually engaged in sex trafficking, not by his own will, but simply because he has actually been exposed through somebody or an adult who is organizing this for purposes of money or commercial gains. Now, there's a thin line between scammers and cyber theft, because these are simply theft that are carried out by means of computers or through the internet. And we say that scammers, statistics has it that 95% of the internet scammers are normally young men, teenagers, and even students. Now, this is where somebody may post to, he might pretend to be somebody else whom he is not, and he make advances with the sole intention of committing a fraud. Now, when we talk of phishers, what do we mean by phishers? We simply mean that this is a cybercrime. It is an offense under the Cybercrime Act. And here, someone poses to be either an institution, like for example, Safaricom. I know this one is common with Safaricom. Like even myself, I once received a call from somebody purporting to be working with Citizen. I don't remember what name he told me he was, but he said he's working with Citizen, and he wanted to inform me that I've won some money. And actually that was pure lie. So they'll come to you posing to be belonging or working to a particular or a legitimate institution. And once you've trusted them, they lure you into giving them your personally identifiable information. Now, this personally identifiable information are simply your names or your personal particulars. Let me put them as such. Your personal particulars, your date of birth, your PIN number, then by the end of the day, you end up being, they end up defrauding you. Now, the internet is good, but the internet has negative effect. And that is why today we are talking of traps and dangers of the internet. How is this internet dangerous? it denies us an opportunity to have a face-to-face communication. Like you can see right now, we are not interacting physically, but we are doing it online. It is good, yes, because we are protecting ourselves from the current situation. But in a way, sometimes it is not very good, especially for young adults learning. At times, you are not sure that you're tapping 100% concentration from the person. Then when we use the internet so much, we'll end up lacking creativity because all the answers are there. We are just glued into the screen and we have it all. Then when we are so much connected into the internet, we'll be cyber bullied. As I said, this is just harassment or somebody getting intimidating another person. Then many at times we become addicted to the internet such that we end up wasting a lot of time because we want to read everything. Something just pops up, especially the social media. It is very enticing. You'll want to read and read and read. At times, when we engage so much into the internet, we abandon our family. That is where there is a clip that was going around where a mom is busy in the using his phone, her phone. Dad is also very busy using his phone. The children are there helpless. They lack control. They don't know what to do. They don't know who to ask what because mom is so busy. She doesn't want to be interrupted. She's chatting. Dad, the same. So many a times we end up losing focus when we engage so much into the internet. Then the internet disrupts our privacy. It also, because of the lot of time that we are engaging into it, it leads us into suffering from this kind of conditions known as insomnia, where you lack sleep because all the time you're awake, all the time you're reading something. And again, because of the internet, we are unable to be active physically. We can't move. You can't chat at the same time you're running. You can't, it's impossible. It leads to addiction, and worse still, it even leads to cheating, especially for our young adults who are in school. And finally, moral corruption, in the sense that there is necessary, there is need for the parents to actually help the children through giving them direction, because once the direction is not there, our children tend to lose focus, and when they lose it, they get corrupted, and that is why sometimes we have these things we are seeing today, because there are so many that if time allows, probably on another day we'll talk about them. Now, how do we become victims? How do we become victims? Because we've realized that there are some dangers that comes along with the internet. How? We become victims because we are vulnerable. Now, this vulnerability, I can link this point, or I can associate this point with the children. The children and the young adults are very, very vulnerable because they are young, because they are not aware, because they don't know the danger that is being or that is facing them. So they are there. Whenever they are asked for anything, they are always willing to give. They are always willing to share information. They share the names of the school. They share their names, their date of birth, and all that kind of stuff. Or they even take photographs of themselves. And what do? They post them because, sometimes, let me not go into that, but through the sharing and through the lack of knowledge, we end up getting vulnerable, or we end up getting exposed into these negativities of the internet. Then the tendency, significant amount of time this time that we spend into the internet 24 hours, we are busy, we are logging in, we are checking mails. It's not bad to do this, but we should also create time for our families. Remember, this is a basic unit of the society. We should also give it time. Use of social networks and other means of online communication. We have so many social media platforms, so many. It is not only WhatsApp and Facebook and Twitter, and there is Pinterest. There are so many. There are so many that we cannot exhaust. The list is endless. Then we also have a tendency to befriend strangers. While once you are the social media, there is a request that comes, a friendly request, there you are, and that is it. So that one makes us very vulnerable. How do we keep safe? How do we keep safe? We say we must have passwords. We must have passwords that are hard to crack. That is password that is a combination of numbers and letters. That is hard to crack. Nobody, to figure out that password can take someone time. Keep your computer updated and clean. When you do that, it helps you to upgrade your gadget or your device gets upgraded into the new security software, let me call it as such that you're able to protect yourself. Then we again say that as a family, we ought to educate our children on the dangers of, like, do not access anything important, especially online banking. You should always look into where are you accessing this information, because remember, some people can access your information remotely without you being there. Then we again say that you turn off.
There's somebody else also who's.
Kindly, there's somebody speaking. Please mute. Please, yes, Eva, you can take up.
Okay, it's okay. Now we again say that as we educate the young people, we should also advise them, or as we educate ourselves, we should also note that we should turn off services when we are not using them. The Bluetooth and the Wi-Fi, I've told you that somebody can, the hackers, they can access your information remotely without physically being there. Then we avoid this issue of free Wi-Fi. All the time you see free Wi-Fi, there you are. Somebody can get into knowing you much more than maybe you even know yourself. So we should avoid that. And then we should never leave our devices unattended. Then for us not to fall prey of phishing, we should always have different email accounts. Different email accounts with different purposes, so that you use an account for a specific reason, such that the one that involves very sensitive usage, like maybe for banking purposes, it becomes a separately different email, so that even when these phishers are trying to get into you, they are unable to. Then remember that these social media, they also have privacy settings. As much as we are using them, we can always hide our information, our personal information from the public, so that we are not exposed. Finally, whenever we face any online crimes, kindly remember to report. Kindly report. These cases are not being attended to because they are not reported. And I cannot blame the public for not reporting. Probably they don't know where to report to, or they don't even know whether these are offenses. So kindly report. We have a toll-free line, it's a hotline at the DCI headquarters. We call it #Fichua kwa DCI, where your identity will not be known. Just press of a button through those numbers, you're able to reach us. Then there is the CAK. Remember, I told you that we liaise with the other government organs and even non-state actors. So we also partner with the CAK, and you can always contact them. And once you've informed them, they'll be able to share the same information with us for action. Then we are again saying that we also have the police emergency line. We have the Twitter accounts. We have the child helpline. This child helpline has been very active, the 116. Call always that number and you'll get help. Report to any police station. Report through the social media platforms. As I said, any social media platform has a reporting option. It has it. It has a reporting mechanism where you can always report any form of abuse. Or alternatively, if you have time, you can walk to our offices at DCI Training School South C, where you'll also be attended to. And we also have our other branch in Mombasa, where you can reach us through physically provincial. I've forgotten the name of that location, but it is just within the town, the town. So thank you for your time, Vincent. I'm sorry, I hope I have not taken more than 20 minutes, or it is 50.
Actually, you have, but I did not want to interfere with you because you know, these are rare moments, really, to see where these are rare opportunities. Because you know, today, one of the reasons why I allowed that discussion to you to take extra time is that on this platform, we have universities.
Yeah.
On this platform, you will have organizations that does petitions like Citizen Go. We also have church leaders. We have men of cloth from the KCCB, NCCK, Evangelical Alliance. We have students. We have partners locally. So one of the things we believe in at the Kenya Christian Professionals Forum is bring people together, because these fights can only be won together. Robert from the UK, so we have to be ready to support each other. You can see there are questions and the interaction. So colleagues, this is my request. We are 48 on the platform. I know at some point you were 67. Kindly let us spend the next 5 or 7 minutes to interact with the questions so that we honor everybody. You can stop screen sharing, Madam Eve. Eva?
Yeah.
And yeah, so just going through the questions, I can see I will give both you and Donald and sorry, you and Robert an opportunity to share. There is a recommendation from Rene Kiamba saying we go to Alice Bailey's 10 point on how to redeem the world from a Christian perspective. Thanks, Rene, for that recommendation. Then there is a question from Daniel Cura saying that should children be allowed to operate social media internet accounts independently? I think you've answered that, and you can also give a summation. Robert, also, I'm reading them so that when you're giving your comments, you could conclude on that. There is an inquiry from, there is an appreciation from Jacqueline saying that young people at below the age of 12 being susceptible to online attack. Then there is from our director of the Kenya Christian Professionals Forum, Dr. Linda Ochola. When I open my email, how can I tell if someone is already accessing my email? I think officer, you can respond to that. We will share those contacts for those who are interested. Connect with us at KCPF. Robert, in view of those comments, I think what I will do is to ask if you could make your submissions as part of your closing remarks. And I want to also give opportunity to a few people to ask questions. So I see Ann Kyoko and Tobias. Briefly, please, your question.
Thank you, Robert. Vincent, it's very refreshing to listen to Eva
And one of my latest petitions is on Pornhub, and I would like to know, because you see governments like in Uganda, they have banned pornography. Is it possible for these departments to ban Pornhub and any sort of pornography in Kenya? Because this is a real disease that is affecting our children, and it would be very, very good if we see Pornhub especially banned in Kenya, especially. Thank you.
Thanks, Ann Kyoko. Let's go to Tobias.
Okay, thank you so much, Vincent, for the opportunity. My question goes to, she has talked, Eva has talked of the youth, majority of the youth engaging in cyber crimes and also scamming. And it is indeed true. And how is the department, how is the DCI and the entire security we rely on in the country, as it is in other countries, are going to ensure that the youth are not misused, the youth are not going to continue being involved in such a criminal cases, because currently they do so because of a lack of employment opportunities for them to be able to engage themselves and be busy. How are they going to ensure that the youth are able to shun away from that activities? Thank you so much.
Yes, I think those are the only two questions we have. So allow me to ask Robert if you could react to those questions, respond to those questions, and then also you can make your final submissions as we bring this to a close. Robert.
Yes, very good. So the questions mostly were about Eva's presentation about children and internet accounts, etc. So a friend of mine is called Matt Fradd, who runs a ministry called Pints with Aquinas, but he's also written a book called The Porn Myth and has run the website The Porn Effect as well. And he has been very good talking about digital detox and also the harms and effects of pornography. So, you know, obviously it's not a topic that we deal with our ministry per se, but there are excellent, Jason Everett from Chastity Project has a lot of really good resources on this, and his ministry is all online, which can come up with, if you're looking into this topic about protecting young people and helping promote a culture of chastity. And certainly the difference between Kenya and the United Kingdom is that very much the churches have a much bigger influence in Kenya, and to really just expand your vision of what could be possible in your country, to, you know, to try and see Mary Stopes sort of thrown out of the country, to try and get Pornhub shut down in the country or something. You know, if this is something, a victory that could be achieved, helping build awareness of this among political leaders, among church leaders, but also on the grassroots, spreading positive resources about chastity education, not just thinking of how can we stop these bad things happen, but how can we create a culture of virtue among young people. I think it's not an intelligent idea to give a smartphone to a child, given that you can access the internet and anything on the internet. Yet this is something that commonly happens in the United Kingdom. So as a family, personally, we don't have a TV. We'd never give smartphones to children, and we want to create a positive culture and positive virtue for young people in the school that we have here. And as campaigners such as Anne, you know, really seeing the opportunity of helping make this a bigger issue by grassroots campaigns, but also having a bigger vision of how can we create a positive culture using technology responsibly. Now that so much more is on digitally with all Zoom events, etc., how can we protect children, but also create and foster a culture of virtue as well? So I've got a PowerPoint. If anyone, I've shared my contact details. If anyone wants to find out more about the ministry that I'm involved with, 40 Days for Life. But again, if you're interested in this topic, Chastity Project, Jason Everett, Matt Fradd talks a lot about this topic as well. And, you know, using computers responsibly, avoiding pornography, creating culture of life. This is crucial to helping young people find virtue through the use of technology. So thanks very much indeed, Vincent. I'm happy to speak more, but I'm sure Eva wants to make some concluding comments too.
Thanks, Robert. Really encouraging that what partnership can achieve. We have in this forum, of course, many Kenyans. We have government represented here. we have the church, and not only across section, you're looking at, as I saying, we are ecumenical, you have universities, you have students, you have civil society organizations, really, really powerful to show what partnership can achieve. Briefly, Eva, as we conclude.
Yeah. Now, there is somebody who mentioned, who asked, how can he know when somebody has accessed his account? Normally, these email accounts, they normally have a security feature whereby they'll always send you a message that somebody has accessed your account. So it is very easy to know when somebody has accessed your account, and it will even mention to you through a mail where that account has been accessed, and you'll be able to know whether you need to hold on to that account or just to close it immediately and open another safer one. Secondly, there is a lady who asked about the pornography, the child pornography, can it be banned? Now that is a policy issue, and what we can do, we can always still safeguard our children through installing a Google Family Link. There is an application that we call a Google Family Link, whereby once you've bought your child maybe a mobile phone or an Android, you install that family Google account into your phone after opening him an account meant for a child. And you're not supposed to guess the age, be accurate in terms of age. Why? Because through this, the age, it is what do I call it? Which name do I use? It is getting off my fingers. It is the Google, yeah. The Google will be able to sieve the amount of information that your child will be able to access, such that any adult material, your child will not be able to access that. And anything that your children will be able to see or to learn or to Google or to search through that device they are using, you as a parent, you must, through this Google Family Link, it will send you a message asking you for permission for them to be able to access to that information that they are trying to find through the Google or even through YouTube. So in a way, we are able to control what our children are getting into. So in one way or the other, we have a solution through the Google Family Link. Now, lastly, somebody has asked of the youths are getting into these activities of fishing and all this kind of stuff. Again, I said this, I must say that this is a policy issue, but we are doing a lot of sensitization to our young people to actually discourage them from engaging into this kind of activities, since in the long run, it will get them into trouble, and it can even get them into being jailed for some number of years, because we have a law that actually guides us on how to handle people who are engaged in such activities. So we are doing a lot of sensitization so as to discourage. And secondly, the government is really working very hard to create jobs for the youth. It's a policy thing that will be discussed even and up to the national level. But on our part, we are doing a lot of sensitization to discourage the young people from all this. So let us all take a personal responsibility so as to safeguard ourselves, our families, and our children as a whole. Thank you, Vincent.
Wow. What a wonderful way of summing this up and concluding our day. I think I want to say a big thank you on behalf of the Kenya Christian Professionals Forum to those who have taken time this morning to be with us and to share. Tobias, I've seen your question about the Family Watch International. I think Kaketo, I gave an opportunity to Kaketo, so that one has already been taken care of. and we got to know what you're doing. So thanks so much to the government. I want to say this. I have had an opportunity to work in government, and I want to say this. At times we don't tend to appreciate what is happening in our government. And Madam Eva, one of the reasons at times it's an issue of communication, and we can tend to take for granted what we have. So I just want to say that feel free to reach out, because these problems, the truth of the matter, cannot be solved by one entity. We have to do this collectively. Yesterday we had a meeting with the Secretary General of NCCK, Secretary General of KCCB. We met at KCCB, and this is what they said, that the President, together with the Cabinet Secretary responsible for internal security, Dr. Fred Matiang'i, every time they have a discussion, this is what they say, that we are concerned with the violence, with the problems in families. We have guns, we can keep people away from streets, we can protect people, but once people get into their homes, we do not have authorities to get into those spaces. We cannot take guns there. So Article 45 of the Constitution says that the family is the basic and fundamental unit of society. And really encouraging that we are all doing this together. So I just want to say that we are committed to partnership. Dr. Judith Onweno, in terms of how we can get into schools, we are already getting into the universities by establishing clubs. So one of the ways that we could work closely with those who are in schools is if you could establish clubs, on Christian clubs, to discuss current affairs. Then we provide linkages, we provide information. Robert, if there are things that you feel we need to be aware that are happening globally, shoot an email to us. We are the melting pot. I can actually say comfortably that because we are able to reach across the different divides. Today I can walk into the Catholic Church and they will listen because they've seen we are in it together. I can walk to an Anglican church, to the other churches, evangelicals, because we are on the same side fighting together, and we may be doing this differently. And I want to say this, the Lord is on our side, and we are fighting from the place of victory. So let's do our part, and God will reward our efforts. I want to invite Patience, my colleague at the Secretariat, to give a vote of thanks. And then I will ask Father JB, I think I just see in abbreviation, to be ready to dismiss us and declare the Lord's blessings upon us and upon families, and also to bless the works that his servants are doing in different areas, in the church, doing in the government. Pray for people like Eva and the rest, to pray also for the work, Robert, Don Feder, in the universities that is happening. And we can conclude the day and we can continue with the discussion. So with that, Patience, if you could briefly give a vote of thanks and we can conclude.
Thank you so much. We really want, on behalf of Kenya Christian Professionals Forum, I want to appreciate all of you who have been with us since we started at 9 a.m. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for staying up to this moment. And to appreciate our moderator, Vincent Kimoso, who has done a very good job. Thank you for keeping us engaged, and we really appreciate the good job that you have done. Thank you, Don Feder in absentia. Thank you, Caroline Maingi too, who had to drop off because she doesn't have power. Thank you, Robert, and thank you, Eva from DCI. We really appreciate all of you. And thank you for heeding to our call when we asked you to come and speak in our family symposium. You have been a very great blessing to us, and we have learned a lot from you. I also want to appreciate all the members of the family consortium who have been with us: NCCK, Venerable Charles Chege, EAK, KCCB, Citizen Go, Family Watch International, and Emerging Youth Foundation, Pulse and Treasures, as well as the Institute for Family Studies and Ethics. We are so grateful for the support that you have granted unto us. We We thank you for the partnership, the continued partnership over the years. We really appreciate all of you. And I also want to thank all the participants who have been with us. We started with a big number, but I think over time people have dropped off, and just feel appreciated. And God bless you so much. And we wish you a good afternoon. And we pray that we will have another opportunity to meet all of you. We invite all of you to continue supporting us as KCPF, and to also visit us in our office at Westlands and sign up for membership as Kenya Christian Professionals Forum, so that you don't miss out on any of our initiatives, events, and also anything else that we could be doing. God bless you.
God bless you, Patience. If there are accountants here, you are voting next week in your to get council members. I am unapologetically promoting believers, people who are of faith, character, and competence. So please, I have a friend who is on the platform called CPA. Guitar, who is running for council member. I am not ashamed to promote brethren who we can tell them go in the name of the Lord. Anyway, that is politics. Don't worry. It was on a light note. Father, please,
can you kindly ask Christian from ACPF, Christian?
Yes, I'm going to do that.
Okay, thanks.
Yes. Father, we have just noticed that in our growth, and as in our growth, that we have people, we have been able to grow beyond the Kenyan territory. There is a chapter that we are establishing for the continental work to reach out to the African Union. And we have a representative here today working on establishing Christian professionals in Burundi. If you can just say hi, get to before the father and tell us how is it where they are. This is Patience, remind me his name.
Christian Irakoze.
Yeah, Christian Irakoze, please. Are you here? Patience, where is Christian? Okay, another day. Father, JB, please.
Thank you. Thank
Yes,
you very much.
Please put on your, we want to see your face. How
No.
Burundians look like.
Oh, Ilakoze talking.
Yes, good morning.
Okay,
Yes.
we listen to Ilakoze.
Sorry, I was having difficulty unmuting. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, thank you so much for this time. I've been interacting with Daniel, Patience, and some other people at the Secretariat of the KCPF. In Burundi, we are trying to
Christian, we have lost you. Christian, we have lost you.
Together discuss. Sorry.
You were breaking, so I was just alerting you. Proceed.
Oh, I'm very sorry. I think it's my internet.
Well, we are really struggling to hear Irakoze. So I think because of time, let's just pause there. Irakoze, please, all
Yes,
the best.
no problem. Yes, sorry. I think it's my internet.
Maybe
next time.
It's now okay. If you could just tell us.
Is it okay now?
Yes.
Yes, thank you so much, Vincent. So I was saying, for us, we are at the very foundation of starting a platform like the KCPF. And thank you for the KCPF Secretariat, because we are collaborating, and we hope that by June we'll have our first meeting with Christian professionals and other influential Christian leaders, just to put the foundations for this platform that we hope will be called the